use the ability to know what people are thinking to win them over. It's the ultimate cheat code in life.
Charm is not necessarily about being liked. It's about making other people feel likable.
If you can find that out, that makes that person feel good about themselves.
I don't want people to think you're pretending to be psychic.
Cat string theory. The cat likes the string when it's moving around outside of its grasp. Your body conducts tension in a different way if you're attracted to that person. Tell us all, who did you think of?
That is crazy. Your career is like doing hockey stick stuff.
You know what? I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I've been working really hard. And I think if you put out consistently good content and also just, you really know how to develop and build an audience, which you've done really effectively by delivering a product that people love, that's it. You do a great job. You exceed expectations. I think for me, viral videos have done very well in terms of my clout and what I would describe as more of my big supporters that are not people that see me. And then I just do hundreds of live events a year so people see me perform. This year, I've been, ever since I was on the show America's Got Talent, which was 10 years ago, I've been trying to reduce my number of shows every year. It's funny. That's what most people, I used to be a volume guy. So I was Shake Shack, if you will. Now I'm trying to be more of a one-star Michelin restaurant. So back then I was doing 4 or 5 private parties every single weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I had anywhere from 2 to 4 restaurant gigs per week that I was doing like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that were my biz dev.
You're going like gig to gig then, basically.
Yo, I was a machine. And then after I got married, my wife slowly, the way that like women are very good at they're the ultimate influencing. Yes. Of like, we're going to get you to do less shows and maybe start charging more. So the way certain business models work where your time, you're the service, you're the good, is higher booking rates and less amounts of shows. So I actually had about 265 shows the year I was on America's Got Talent. And I've slowly weaned that down to about, I think this year will be around 140, maybe 135. I haven't looked at my numbers, but we're trying to reduce.
That's not counting like media appearance shows.
I don't count media. That'd be much more.
That's wild. So these are private events mostly?
These are primarily corporate events. So I went down the path at a certain point where I decided, you know, if you're a rock star comedian, you're probably playing clubs and then theaters and then arenas, and people are buying your tickets. I'm not opposed to that. That's a great feeling, and I'll do a few of those each year, and it's great for the fan base. But I found that my niche was that I come from the world of corporate America. I went to school for engineering. I went to work on Wall Street. I know the lingo. I fit in, which for better or worse, it's kind of that club where they want to know when they look at you that you fit in with the group.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, as well as just from the sense of making people feel comfortable around you, where when you speak to them, you can convey the messaging, you're eloquent, and somebody who, for lack of a better term, is wearing like makeup and has like tattoos on their like knuckles is not going to work at a private equity conference.
Right. It's a little bit too edgy.
It's too edgy, and I'm square, and I decided to be square and wear suit and tie when I was on America's Got Talent and make a very concerted brand decision. The same way you market a new pharmaceutical, that people watching this, you go, wow, I'm having a sales meeting next year for 1,000 people. This guy would be perfect.
It'd be great, yeah.
And that's where wildfire hits, because I was able to capture certain industries like the game Risk, and I did that in a very effective and very targeted manner so that my business would grow, because certain shows lead to a lot more shows. Others don't.
That makes sense. I do have questions about that. But we should
jump right in.
I actually have questions in general in this show.
Tell me if I'm rambling or going too much.
It's all good. We should tell people what mentalism is, because I think I don't want people to think you're pretending to be psychic.
Sure. Oh yeah. Right. So very important. What do I do? It's called a mentalist.
Yeah.
Right? I make the joke, my wife thinks I'm mental, and that is very true. But a mentalist is kind of a subset of magic, but it's not magic. So it's really important to understand. When people ask me, is that a trick you did? Yeah, it's a trick. But it's a trick in a different way, because a trick, when you're seeing a magician, it involves sleight of hand.
Right.
And I love magic. I started as a magician. When we saw each other in college, you saw me doing card tricks, rope tricks, and I love that stuff. I go to my kids' school, I'm busting out the magic tricks again.
Yeah.
But what happened is an evolution over time where I use less and less props and less sleight of hand. And what I start doing is using the core foundation of magic, which is things known as misdirection, influencing, and deception, right? When you're doing a magic trick, you're usually not quicker than the eye, but you distract the eye at the moment you do a move. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the illusion that you see is typically that when a car disappears on stage with David Copperfield, it didn't really disappear.
Yeah, right.
Science still exists, gang. He made you look away at the moment he did the move.
Right.
So that right there, the knowing how to influence where you think and what you think, that, and then when you take away the visuals, is what I do for a living now, which is I know how people think. I've spent almost 30 years reverse engineering the human mind so that the things you convey to me, your nonverbal communication, the way you pause, the way you enunciate, the way I move you in a certain direction by speaking very quick and then going very slow, all of that is my instrument on how I can entertain you, create memorable moments, but do things that appear to be psychic, appear to have no explanation, that I can seemingly read your mind. Literally the title of my new book, Read Your Mind.
Yeah.
But I can't read minds. I read people. It's not supernatural. It's not psychic. I want people to know that. I am not talking to dead people or trying to rip you off.
That's good. Yeah, the talking to dead people stuff is particularly despicable when I see these people do that. There's another guy, he's also Israeli. What is his name? He's like a famous...
Lior?
The guy who bends the
Uri Geller.
Uri Geller.
He's OG, baby.
Right.
I ran into him in Tel Aviv one time.
Really?
My mom was with me. She's like, Uri, do you know who this is? He didn't know who I was. He looked me up after and actually messaged me because I was kind of on the upswing.
Yeah.
But she was very, I was just like, Uri, you're a legend, man.
Yeah.
It was very fun seeing him.
There's a couple of other guys, they'll pretend to be like talking to dead people. And I'm like, it's such a shame because you can do all these incredible things that blow people's minds. Those guys could theoretically do that too, but instead they take some old lady's money because she thinks she's talking to her dead grandchildren. And I'm like, wow, you really could have just gone this way.
Bam, Skeptical Sunday. I'm with you right now.
But like, instead you decided to be like the scumbaggiest of all scumbags. Right. I don't understand the choice. It's like and then they put all this effort into doing it because I can only imagine how much effort and time over 30 years it takes to be able to quote unquote read minds, right? That's
cold reading, learning all the skills, learning how to manage audiences, learning how people think.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. Everything you do, I assume, has a purpose when you're doing this. Can I give away a little bit? Like before the show, we were talking. You're like, think of these things and think of these.
I wanted to get your mind racing, and even then, in that moment when I said, Jordan, I want you to go back in time because we know each other. So if I said to you on air, think of something, I, as a skeptical viewer, would immediately go, well, they knew each other, right?
Right, yeah.
So I set in motion, we walked in, and I want to make sure there's nothing written down, you didn't whisper something. I just said, start thinking in your past of things and people and inside jokes, and think of stuff that there is no way I could know, and that over the course of 2,000 plus episodes, guests that have had an impact on you. Right? And even then you were percolating and marinating. And I don't even know if your thoughts are fully formed yet, but right when I got here, I started setting in motion what I think you would think about.
That's so interesting.
And it's interesting to see later if you feel I influenced you into picking what you picked.
I don't see. So I was like, I'm going to pay attention to everything he says and does and see if he influences me. And I'm like, so far, coming up pretty dry.
The thing that Jordan's going to tell you is nothing has happened yet. He's like, you walked in, he didn't have water, so we went downstairs to get water. Was that the trick? And then he told me to think of some people, but I don't know who to think of yet.
Well, we got the water afterwards because I was like, I'm going to know every word he says. Then when you said, hey, come in front of the cameras and go over there, I assume there was a reason for that. I'm not going to ask you what the reason is.
Because if there's cameras, I think you could think that I could see something on a screen. I said, let's walk somewhere in the room away from cameras where you know that no matter what you do, and I am very, I don't want people to write anything down. I don't want them to do anything. I want a thought in your mind and your mind alone.
Okay. I was wondering about that. I was like, why does he want me to go away from there? But that makes sense because you could think like, oh.
I would literally see in the screen. Later on, that's what people say to me, every method that they can think of. They go, he set this up. He did research. I like to exclude methods as I go. Dude, that's what's interesting.
As a 45-year-old guy, I'd be equally impressed if you could see my phone screen from all the way over there. That's the real magic trick. Right. You have 20/20 vision at age 45. So it's psychology, suggestion, misdirection, anchoring, framing, stuff like that.
Very smart. Anchoring and framing are huge amounts of it. And then good old-fashioned deception, which is that I lead you on a path in my performance where it's like one of those little mice going to cheese. They go in a maze, and they keep turning left and right. And I try to guide you at certain moments to thinking that you know how I did it. And right then, I cut that method away and then cut the method so that at the end you keep getting engaged because if someone's not engaged in my show, then I've failed miserably.
Right, that's like the whole point of the show, right?
That's the whole point, but the whole point is you don't want someone to tune out, and that's a kind of a breadcrumb. Think of it, there's book called The Game by Neil Strauss, where he talked about something called cat string theory, which is, he used it to pick up girls, but it's something in all of human dynamics and just relationships. Is a cat, if you drop a piece of string on the ground, doesn't want to play with it. The cat likes the string when it's moving around outside of its grasp. So the same thing here, people like it, where if they have no idea how you're doing something, they will actually tune out. They're not impressed, they're not engaged. But if they feel like they got a little bit, I know how he did that. Oh my God, that's how he did it. If you give them that little taste along the way, then they're at the edge of their seat and they're excited and they feel like they're being taken along and they're figuring out what's behind the curtain. But then they didn't realize there's a second and a third curtain. And so every time you're upping the ante.
Maybe I'm easily entertained because I'm always blown away by how anybody does any sort of mentalism, especially. There was a time I saw a show in San Francisco and the guy's like, think of a weird vacation destination. And I was like, oh, I'm going to put North Korea. Like, that's the weirdest of all weird, and almost doesn't care. And the guy, and he's downstage, and I'm way up there in the dark, and I wrote it like under the chair. And then he guessed it, and I was like, okay, what are there cameras under every chair? Like, what is going on? I was so lost. And I looked under the chair because I was like, clearly there's a camera under every chair, and either it's the tiniest camera, there was no camera. I can't. I
don't think
can't
there was a camera. I'm going to tell you the truth.
What's that?
No camera.
No, it's just something, I don't know, but mentalism.
He knew you were the guy who do North Korea. He's like, I know this jerk right here. He's a North Korea type.
Do it. Yeah, it's very.
The girl next to you was going to do the Seychelles, for the record. That's deep cuts.
That's right. That's right. What are ethical boundaries in mentalism? We kind of talked about manipulation, but how do you decide what to reveal or not, or what sort of areas you won't touch? Are there kind of like, I won't talk about these specific things, or I won't get people to talk about these specific kinds of...
So I would say there's a few red lines for me. So I sometimes find out information about people that would be embarrassing. There's been lots of occasions where just people, I just know something about them that I know they don't want me to share. So I won't do it.
What's an example of that?
Rabid infidelity, like somebody hating somebody in the room, just things that I can suss out, that I figured out, or that people in jest will challenge me to get. But then once I'm in that moment, I won't do it because I know that the repercussions to them won't be what they want. Giving away people's passwords that I figure out. So just things that cross a certain line. I won't give away social security numbers, even though I've been challenged to get it. And somebody's like, you'll never guess mine. I'll write down a piece of paper, show it to them. They're like, what the And then I'm not going to say that on stage because you can't change that. TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, you're screwed, brother. So there's certain things like that where they typically are challenges or that I'm able to discern, but I don't like to scare people by saying that because they go, oh my God, I don't want to be in the room with you. I will only figure stuff out that you can know. So again, if you can know the information, I can find ways to find it out. That's kind of the goal. Because that's what a mentalist does. I reveal secret information that I shouldn't be able to know in a way that's inexplicable. That's if you boil down what I do, but there's lots of ways to package that good to make it entertaining, exciting, and different.
It must feel incredible to do that. I've got a little taste of it because I saw a mentalism show also, I think, in the city. And I ran into after the show, there were drinks, and I was talking to this old couple that was kind of standing in the corner, and I said, oh, what are you doing here? And they're like, actually, our son is the performer. And I said, oh, that's great. You must be really proud. And they were like, actually, he doesn't know we're here. And I was like, wait, we have to play a joke on him if he doesn't know you're here. I said, what was his favorite stuffed animal as a kid or something? And they were like, why? And I was like, trust me, this is going to be worth it. So they told me he had a little binky named something, and it was like a little stuffed elephant. So I walked up to him and I was like, that was a great show. I've been dabbling in this stuff myself, and I don't know how to deliver it in an entertaining way because I don't know what I'm doing. So I basically was like, I'm getting a vision of something from when you were a kid. Can I share it with you? And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I was like, he had a little stuffed elephant. His mind was blown because he knew it was a trick, obviously. But he was like, how did you do that? And you could sense him looking at me like, surely this guy knows me from child. He couldn't figure it out exactly. And I was like, let me release you from this prison. Your parents are here. And he was like, no way. And so it was
what you should have done.
I know, right? I was like, he's going to have a critique on how I dropped it.
So what you should have done there is you have to create a false explanation. So you would have driven him crazy. Because you did something what's known as the too perfect theory. So too perfect means there's only one solution because you walked up and there was no procedure. So procedure is something to get to the answer. And so if I just went, ba-bam, and it happened, you're like, oh, I don't know how that happened. But if I did a few things, and if I lifted something and went, whoa, then you go, oh, maybe it has to do with that clipboard. Or maybe, you create some sort of alternate. So for him as a mentalist, it would have driven him insane, is I would have said to him, I would have literally said, take a marker, your marker, and I want you to write down, you know what, think of your best friend when you were 7.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I go, no, that's too easy. I could have looked up. Did you have any stuffed animals when you were a kid? I would have made him change his mind.
I
So
see.
he feels like he was in charge and he conveyed the information. Write it down the palm of your hand. Hold it tight against you. Hold your hand out in front of me. And I'm going to close my eyes. Let me feel your hand and rub your hand. And I would have had you rub his hand, and it would have destroyed his world. And said, it says Binky does it. He's like, oh, because now he would have said, how did you feel the marker? How you would have given him a path to go down that would have driven him insane, because there is no way to have done that.
Right.
And so again, that's how I think as a mentalist, because what I'm creating is the memory and the story that you will tell to the next person. If you boil down what my real skill is, it's not fooling you. It's not entertaining you. It's creating memorable moments. And you have to define what that really means. Memorable moments are ones that people tell others about.
Yeah, okay.
And that's my secret to success. And that's what a viral video is at the end of the day. You share it, you comment on it, you're captured, and you want other people to know. That's what makes it viral, literally. It's memorable, it's different, it's the purple cow, right? It's the Mr. Beast running with the millions of dollars that keeps you in an economy where every attention is swipe, swipe, swipe. How do we capture them?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I knew, like, when I got that delivery, I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this information.
You should have texted Oz. You're like, Oz, I need you right now. We really need to mess with this guy. Right. Do you remember who it was?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't. He was good, though. Like, he worked at Google, and this was just like his weird
Iran.
open.
Was it a guy named Iran?
Very possible.
Oh, my God. I know.
Mentalists are at Google.
Super high up at Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have facial hair?
It's been so long, I don't remember.
Okay.
He was young. I think he was younger than us. I could be wrong.
Okay, maybe a different guy.
Maybe a different guy. He's like a thin dude. He was very charismatic and dynamic. And I was like, okay, amateur side hustle mentalist. Like, let's see.
There's a few guys.
Dude, you know what?
Gerard?
It's actually, that sounds familiar.
Dave Gerard. But
this could also.
We all know each other. It's a small community.
Yeah, it can't be that big. People who are good at this, there just can't be that many because of the amount of work it would take to get good at this.
That's really it.
Is that it?
That's really truly the case. Is there's a steep learning curve, and it's very, very similar to comedians. More similar to comedians in many ways than magicians, because magicians can practice to perfection. Hear me out. You can practice a trick with sleight of hand over and over and over, the same way you could practice juggling,
guitar,
so that when you get in front of people, guitar the same way. Now keep in mind, you might not have the creative juices of writing Hey Jude, right? Yeah. But you might be able to play other people's songs as a cover band. That's what most magicians are, a cover band. They don't create their own material, they do others' material.
Yeah, there's only a few Penn and Teller guys making catching bullets.
That's exactly right. And some of the people that create don't perform. There's songwriters who aren't, they write the songs for the artist. Same thing here. There's consultants who make magic for magicians.
Huh.
Interestingly enough, you don't know that.
Yeah,
so
why would those guys don't perform? They just
because sometimes that's not you're behind the camera talent, right? You're not necessarily the performer, but you're a great creative mind. Comedy writers are a great example, but a comedian doesn't know they're funny. Impossible to know until they're in front of an audience. The audience conveys your worth to you. So that's identical to a mentalist. A mentalist cannot be good without an audience because you can't read your mind in a room, versus somebody who's incredibly good at magic still has to interact with an audience. There's still that presentation, but there's people who go on stage who do illusions and do manipulations who literally don't even interact with an audience. They just do their amazing stuff. Yeah. They can win the world championship of magic and they never speak to a spectator. They do amazing things. They have the dexterity.
So how the heck do you develop these skills then? Because you basically, like you said, a comedian, you have to do like the equivalent of mentalism open mic.
Improv,
where you're just
open
like
mics, yep.
Getting everything wrong and people are like, yo, don't quit your day job.
Boom.
Holy smokes, that was terrible. And you're like, I need 1,000 more of these and I'll eventually be able to do this. And
that's it.
It's just got to be terribly brutal.
That's literally, there's a chapter in my book that exactly explains that analysis of when I was working restaurants. The failure and the rejection that you have to take in at a young age, for me it was as a teenager doing this, has served me in my entire life. In every single thing I do, being able to stomach failure, because so many of us fear failure to our core. It's in our DNA where fear of failure stops people from quitting their job as a lawyer and starting a podcast. Because they go, you did it, but there's no way I could do it. Ready? Just that thought, there's no way I could do it. Internalizing that, repeating that to yourself day after day becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Versus someone who internalizes, I'm going to do it, I know I'm going to do it, and they start taking step 1, step 2, step 3. Now, they might not do it, but I guarantee you they're never going to do it with the wrong mindset. So with me, that rejection and failure, I got better and better at it because I was able to absorb those blows and know that, hey, it's not really me they hate. I kind of was able to separate. I created these silos. It's not me. I'm Oz Pearlman. I've got my own like ego that doesn't get crushed. I said it's the tricks they don't like. It's the Oz the entertainer.
Which is true also.
It is true, but you can do that in life where you can separate yourself. It's the same as when I would approach girls at a certain age. I was so nervous. If somebody, I'll never forget in high school, this one girl, like I asked her to go out to the homecoming. Her friend said, how could you even think to ask her? I was like, oh, stabbed me in the side, twisted, pulled it out, and I just bled to death on the floor is what I felt like. I'll never forget her saying that to me in French class. Of course. Never. And so I took that to heart. But later, a few years later in college, I started saying, that's not me. She doesn't even know me.
Right.
That's her. I started thinking I have an agent. Like if I was at William Morris, WME, I have an agent who represents me. If somebody says to the agent, we don't want him for this, that's not me. They told my agent that. I started having this mindset where I have a representative and I have me. And all the stuff that was crapping on me, I sent to my representative. And I found a way in my mind to deflect and separate and move it over. And it's just like having a bowl right now. If we had a bowl of water and you took right now salt and poured it in, we got salt water. Can't separate it.
Right.
But put a piece of invisible plastic in the middle. Just put right there a little piece of, like I don't even know what to call it, like Pyrex. I don't know, something right there. Boom. Pour into one side. The other side stays fresh water. Separate that failure away. And you can do that. There's tricks to rewire your brain because as soon as you lose that fear of failure, it opens you up. It opens you up to be successful.
That's really smart. Of course, it's a little bit easier said than done at first. Young guys approaching women. Hey, she's rejecting a representative. Like, okay, cool, but everyone still laughed at me.
Yeah, but my representative is 5'7"3/4", and she wants 6 feet, and I need the 3/4 because that's average for a Jew. So yes,
yes, I know. God, just wear taller shoes. That didn't work for me either. That's bad advice. I've seen they're back in Ann Arbor. Actually, there were these two magicians that would work on Main Street, and they were kind of like medium. They're probably college students. I don't know. And I just remember they would get super harassed and around. People would be like, that sucks. And I remember feeling so bad for them because that's not easy to do. Walk around to tables in an Irish pub, working for free, doing card tricks, or just doing like rope stuff or whatever it was. I don't remember. And it was free, for God's sake. Like, come on, and people were just crapping all over them. And I remember even to this day thinking like, God, I hope those guys made it and love doing what they do because people were not nice to them at all. And surely even now, there are people that are like, I don't want to deal with this. When you're engaging with folks and they're just either rude or they're not real, that probably happens to you far less now, but maybe they're just not giving you the proper attention.
Absolutely.
They're not engaged. You have something where you kind of remove your attention from them and they chase you.
Absolutely. So I think it's group dynamics and peer pressure. And in so many instances in life, there's a power dynamic when you meet someone, which is who needs something from the other more. Now, you could say that seems very transactional, manipulative, but it's not. It's life. If you're, even if you have a child and I want them to eat breakfast, I'm trying to get something from them. And if they don't eat breakfast, I'm the one who's there's a problem for me because now they're going to be a mess and they have low blood sugar and they're not going to study well in school. So in most of your interactions, every single part of every single day, there's someone that's getting something and hopefully you have mutual benefits. But when I'd walk up to somebody at a table, they had all the power over me, which is, hey kid, get out of here. I don't want to watch this crap. Get out of here. Go to the next table. Right? They could reject me. But when I'd approach them, I learned all these different tactics from the way my body was positioned to the first words out of my mouth to taking away all of their resistance when I approach them. And this is kind of called channeling your inner mentalist, is knowing what the other person is thinking, not to guess or to do magic, but know what they're thinking when you meet them or know what they're thinking when you approach them needing something. So for me, I knew that when I walked up to you at a restaurant, first things first, I'm some 14-year-old shrimp. You don't even know who I am. You don't know if I work at this restaurant. You don't know what I'm about to do. You see me take out a pack of cards. So now in your mind, you go, oh, is he doing card tricks? Oh God, is this magic? Is he going to be good? Is he going to leave soon? Do I have any money in my pockets to tip him? Oh, like all of this dread sets in. I don't want dread. I want excitement. So I learned in my mind, iterating over time, what people thought of me when I walk up to them. what would they think of me? And I noticed a few things. If I approached you head on, it's very aggressive. It's from the animal world.
Yeah.
An animal that you look at directly feels fear, versus if you're at an angle, they only see one of your eyes.
This is like approaching women 101 as well. Like
this
never
is
go
everything
full
in
on,
life.
like side, and
Yep.
then you sort of offhand do something.
And never hesitate.
Yeah, that's so
Hesitation can
funny.
be smelled. So when you walk up to somebody, if you walk up with a smile, no hesitation, bam, confidence can be felt. It's sensed. So when I walk up, I'd walk up at an angle, only one eye. It looks like I'm about to leave.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I've only got 1 minute, but did you hear what's going on tonight?
False time constraint.
False time constraint. Exactly. I'm not staying long because right away, most people don't know when you walk up to them, how long is this going to be?
He's gonna be here all night. Yeah.
Yep. And so I've only got a minute, but did you hear what's going on? It's your lucky night. And it's like, that's the lottery. You didn't give them a yes or no question. Hey guys, want to see some magic? No. Where do you go from there? But I'm really good. My mom says I'm good.
You go
right?
away, yeah.
But if I ask you a question that's rhetorical, that only has upside, which is, what would you do if you had $1,000 right now? Who's going to say no? I don't want $1,000.
Right.
Few and far between. So if I walk up and say, you've won the lottery, did you hear what's going on tonight? With that level of tone? No, what's going on? The owner brought me here as a special treat for you, and I have something incredible to show you. Nothing has been a yes or no question so far. The worst case scenario you ever get is you didn't read the room right, and they're in the middle of a conversation. And they're like, oh, you know what? We're just in the middle of something. Can you come back? That's the worst thing I'd ever get. And I go, of course, enjoy yourself. I'll see you later if I can make it. Like right away. Again, I've taken away a little bit of the value. So when I would approach in that manner, the first thing I'm saying is, I'm only going to be here for a minute. Have you heard what's going on? Next, the owner brought me here as a special treat. That 3 seconds, those 12 or 14 words I just said, the owner knows I'm here. I've been invited to be here as a special treat. I don't owe you money. I don't have to search for a tip. The owner brought you as a special treat. You're taking all of these things away. Now, again,
like objections in sales, like
objections in sales, the way you get a script, boiler room. Oh, you know, I already have a stockbroker. Amazing. I love that you have a stockbroker. You're such a savvy investor. That's great that I can talk to you about this opportunity now. You want to take and you want to kill with kindness. You don't want to create yes or no's. You want to create more openings to branch a conversation.
Yeah.
It's rapport building. It's sales 101. And make no mistake, everything in life is sales. Whether that's deepening connections, whether that's being seen, being heard, that's everything in life can be boiled down to an interaction with other people. I don't care if you're a loner, and how you're able to have that person like you and want to do things with you. Right? Winning people over and having them be your champions is the path to success in life.
That's funny because that's right where I was going with this. Is you and I share this outlook where 9 out of 10 people in podcasting, they'll try your show and they'll be like, nah. And sometimes the reason I'll be able to get feedback from people and they'll go, my wife doesn't like your voice. And I'm like, okay, that's not like a thing I'm going to change.
Right.
And I'll go, I'm so curious why. And then I remember one old couple, she was like, you talk a little too fast and you remind me of somebody that I don't like. And it's like, I'm not going to overcome that. There's no reason to.
Right.
And she even felt bad. She's like, I just have an illogical aversion to the way that you talk. I reminded her of probably like some ex-boyfriend or something, who knows.
Right.
But like 90% of people more who try your show are not going to care. And you kind of have this as well. Like 5% of your clients, they're your super fans. The other 95%, they were like, oh yeah, I saw that guy once.
Yep.
He was great. I think. I kind of remember it. I don't know. I had a lot of email. I was on my
I hope
library.
the numbers are higher than that, but yes, I see your point.
5%. Yeah, hopefully.
Way to cut me down, Jordan.
I mean, look, that 5 to 10% though, they love you and they're like,
Especially if you do big numbers.
Right, yes.
It's a numbers game. Life is a numbers game, and you have to be aware of that. And the rejection, when you can reframe rejection,
Yeah.
I realized, and I'm a numbers guy. Like I was really good at math growing up as a kid, and it was honestly one of my superpowers because at a certain point in school, I started kind of screwing up and being rebellious. My folks got divorced, and I was like, just kind of started becoming a bad kid. But I can only chalk this up to luck and genetic lottery. I was incredibly good at schoolwork and math. I was like a math savant in certain ways. So things were easy for me. And if I had not had it be easy for me, I would have definitely gone down a different path in life because I was able to still get good grades, even though I was such a screw up and wasn't really studying or doing homework. And so I reframed things in my mind. And it's the same way when I was a little kid, when I count stairs, it was like Rain Man stuff. When I jump stairs, I count stairs everywhere I went. I know the stairs at school were 7, 12, and 8. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like real psycho
Is that
stuff.
like OCD?
I don't know if it's OCD, but it's how my mind worked. Because when I was even young, I realized that when you go to the grocery store, how come they the price of stuff wasn't what they charge you. And my mom said there's tax.
Yeah.
And so I learned about percentages, and I found out the percentage tax. And this is like some Rain Man stuff. When we get to the counter and they would scan everything before, this is like when I was 8 years old, it would be like $87, and I know that is 8.25% tax. Before they did it, I would tell her what the total was going to be.
Oh, wow.
I would tell her she's going to pay with $90, and it's $87.36, and I know that I'm getting back $2.64. Like it was like this weird, crazy, like I would
human cash register.
I would be doing that to tabulate, but that was what would race my mind and make it fun. It was a game I'd play. It wasn't. It seemed psycho. Maybe it was. A lot of people are like, we lost you at this point. But I think it sharpened my mind.
Yeah.
And that exact skill has allowed me as a mentalist to be at the top of my game, because I'm able to role play what people will do in my shows and what will go wrong and iterate like a Monte Carlo
I see.
Scenario as to like, boom, 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 this could go wrong, this could go wrong, this could go wrong. And I map it out and I figure out what I'm going to do in each of those cases.
So you're inoculating yourself against the failure, potential of failure.
1,000%. And if you were to look at me and competitors, I would immediately tell you, just like a business, why did NVIDIA blow up? Why did this business? In my business, that has been one of my major secrets, is I stress test what I'm going to do more forcefully and more in depth than anyone else in the game. And that's why I'm able to do things that are much, much riskier on TV and in my profession, because other people won't do it because it's too risky. It's like, literally, it's too risky. Like, what if it goes wrong? I do risky stuff. Audiences can sense risk. There's a bigger payout. And I've done it because I've hedged the risk in a certain way. It'll still go wrong sometimes. Listen, you're always going to roll craps, but I'm willing to take those big swings in a lot of my appearances, and it's paid big time.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's almost like, well, you're doing a lot of listening, mirroring, guiding perception, things like that, tools people can use in life or business, I suppose.
Yep.
But it's almost, there's something you're doing that's almost like empathy that's, I don't know, disguised as magic. It's kind of hard to describe, but
I think that's exactly right.
It?
Well, I see empathy as I focus more on the person I'm performing for than on me. I turn the mirror around is the way I describe it. And so again, if I'm performing for someone, I could just say, think of a card, and I'll find the card.
Yeah.
And that's from the world of magic.
We've kind of
but
all
what
seen
if
that.
instead we take that same framing, which is the net effect is I'm going to guess a card, 1 out of 52. What if I say to you, when you were a child, did you ever play cards with anybody? And they go, I did. And I go, stop right there. Picture that person's face. Maybe it was a grandparent. Maybe it was a cousin. Maybe it was something, but there's always those moments that we share with people that are carefree when we're kids that are so precious. Think of that person right now. Okay, that you were playing cards with as a kid. And I want you to see yourself playing a game. Tell me what game you were playing. Crazy Eights, love that game. And I go, and now eights are the best cards, so don't let me influence you. But let's say you're playing with them and you stop on one card, and right before you turn it over, you have a feeling you know what it is. Think in your mind, is it red? Is it black? Is it a heart, diamond, club, spade? And then I say to them, look at me, and I write down 6 of diamonds. And I go, what was the card you were imagining yourself turning over? And they go, 6 of diamonds. I turn it around. That is such a, and then the kicker is I go, and by the way, you're with your grandmother, weren't you? Now, so think about it. The net effect is the same as the card trick.
Right.
But the story that you tell to somebody the next day is, I met this guy, is unbelievable. He told me about me playing cards with my grandma when I was a kid, and that she handed me the 6 of diamonds. How could he have possibly known that, right? The story has evolved. It's created an emotional hook that now means something to the person that a card, the 6 of diamonds, doesn't.
Yeah, you're understanding people so deeply that they feel seen, which is really special because, again, you're not just going, hey, I did something with this deck where you had to pick the card I had already written down.
And the focal point is still what I've done is amazing, but it wasn't about me. It was about them. And what's the most important thing to you, to Paul, our sound guy, to everybody? Themselves, followed by their family, followed by their friends, followed by their interests, followed by their finances. Know what core things mean something to you. All of us are the star of our own movie. There's 9 billion movie stars in this world. Everybody else is just supporting cast. So if you can make them the star of their movie and that you let them shine in that role, that's the thing they're going to remember. And that's important to note. If you've ever met somebody incredibly famous, I've had so many encounters with people that are my heroes where they have been so awesome to me that I will talk about them. until my dying day, because they not only met the expectations, but they exceeded them. And do you know how they did that in most instances? They didn't brag about themselves. They asked questions about me. They were interested in me. The most interesting person in most rooms is the most interested person. It's the person who not only is charismatic, but allows you to shine. They ask you questions about yourself that you haven't been asked before. They don't say, oh, what do you do for a living? Where'd you grow up? What the 10 questions everyone asks.
Yeah.
Not a problem if we're doing an interview, but if you meet somebody and they ask you a question you've never thought about before, that makes you scratch your head and you go out of autopilot and you go, man, I've never been asked that before. That's so fascinating. And then you answer, and then they go deeper with you and they ask you another question and you feel like you've opened up to them. You leave the party or you leave the event, you go, did you meet John? How great was that guy?
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
And what did they do? Their superpower was making you shine. And that's something, it's in my book, but it's not, again, it's not mentalism. It's the skills surrounding mentalism.
Charisma and charm, whatever you want to call it.
There's both, because charisma and charm are two different things, and I describe them in the book, both of which you can work on. Some people have them naturally. So some people go, I'm just introverted. I'm not that. I disagree.
I also
was
disagree.
introverted also. There's tricks you can do that allow you to be better. That's like saying I'm not in shape. Well, you know what? Go work out a little bit.
I'm technically an introvert too. I just know how to get people talking about themselves. And look, I can talk all day. Obviously, I get paid to do that in many ways. But really, I can get other people talking, and I just use my natural curiosity. I don't have to be outgoing to be curious about other people. And I think that's something that a lot of people who use the medical excuse of like, I'm an introvert, so I can't be social.
Right.
I think they lean on that. I wonder how do you get yourself in the mood to be energetic, perform, be dynamic on a microphone or in front of a crowd? Surely there are days where you wake up and you go, oh man, I'm tired. I slept like crap. I got 5 kids, 4 of them are crying and 1 poops. You know, like what? Sure. Do you have? You don't strike me as a guy who just has fake performance O's and real O's. Like it's like me. It's you're the same person you are on mic or on camera and off. But sometimes I'm like, okay, caffeine and block out the world and just get really curious in this person, and then you can have your hangover or your headache or whatever it is that's bugging you.
Sure.
Do you have something similar? Because
for sure,
you can't blow it at a gig. You can't blow it on a big podcast. Like it's not good for business. Yeah.
So honestly, you hit 2 things so like nail on the head. One is authenticity is something that people can instantly feel and sense. It's what you said. I've watched performers, and I don't want to make this about my world, but I watch the performer, and do you know what I instantly say? I go, that's not who that person really is. That's putting on an act. Now, some people do that, and that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Some people have a character. But for me, I connect with audiences, and I connect with them on an emotional level because I am my real self. I might be an amplified version of myself, tells a little more jokes, is a little more alpha and dominant because I have to be in my show, and then occasionally vulnerable because I think that lets you in as well. But I think your audience connects with you because they know who you are.
Yeah.
And if they saw you off camera being a totally different person, it's a little bit like you lied to me a little.
One of the highest compliments I get is, wow, you're like the same guy in real life as you are on the show. And I'm like, they're like, is that weird? And I'm like, no, thank you for saying that. Like my wife said that to me before we were married, like right after she met me. She was like, I'm almost surprised. I had a listener meet up here in New York a couple of days ago. And it was impromptu. My producer just messaged some people he was talking to. And they were like, oh, you're like the same guy in the coffee shop. And that means I'm doing something right, because if you're like an angry, bitter asshole, right, and then someone sees you and you're like, oh, hey, what's up, everybody? It's like, oh, you're just like a weird guy with a fake personality that I like, and then the real you sucks.
Right.
Bye, I'm out. I'm unsubscribing.
Right, and that's like so disappointing.
Yeah.
And so I think another big part of it is just kindness. So if you were to tell me like, what if I died tomorrow, what I want my kids to remember, one, more than anything, is that I love them.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's cliche, but it's true. It's like, I think that just feeling enormous love. But the second thing is that they would be polite and kind. Those 2 words, polite and kind. I tell them so many times a day, please and thank you. To say please, say thank you, say bless you. My wife gets annoyed by that, but I have some weird fixation on if somebody sneezes, you have to say bless you. She's like, I don't know why you do that. But the kindness goes so far.
Yeah.
And I'm getting mic'd up probably 180 times a year, more than that even, just getting on a TV show, on a thing. Sound person doesn't feel seen. I go, hey, what's your name, by the way?
And
I say,
talk to you.
Great to meet you. What's up, Marcelo? So great. And then when I take off the mic, I know their name. And I go, Marcelo, you did a great job for me today, man. Thank you so much. I bet you that they can count on one hand in the last month how many people asked their name, remembered their name, and made them feel seen and heard. Now, again, there's moments where I've missed that, but I make an effort for that. I make an effort for that all the time. When I get in and out of an Uber, I tell my kids, say thank you. Oh, but we paid that guy. I don't care.
Oh, I hate that argument.
Say thank you.
We paid that guy?
Anyone
That's the worst.
who's with me, who's rude to somebody as a waiter or a hostess or anything like that, I instantly judge you. Because one, I've been that. I've cleaned toilets at a bagel store when I was 14, and I'm glad I did. I've done all of those things where I've been a busboy, I've been a magician, I've worked in maintenance, I've done all these jobs which I think build me up to having a certain level of resilience and toughness, and also I put in the reps to, at this point, be able to pull up my sleeves and be like, yes, I've achieved success, but I think I'm glad that I had kind of shitty jobs earlier, pardon my French, because I don't know if my kids will ever have that, and that's unfortunate because of just the success I've had, where they're in a different socioeconomic class and just an ease of life than I had, which you can't, there's nothing you can do. Everyone has that problem where if at a certain point you're flying first class, do your kids fly first class with you? And can you stick them in coach?
Sometimes, maybe. As soon as they're old enough to fly in coach by themselves, they're flying in coach.
Are they eating? I never got to go to restaurants when I was a kid. I went few and far between. Getting dessert was on my birthday. Now, again, I'm not judging anyone who has means. I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I'm saying I grew up in a different way. So I appreciate things in a different way because at some point in life, I didn't have them versus people that I meet who are now at a level where they've had everything since they were a kid. Do they appreciate it as much?
This is why wealth doesn't last more than a few generations in most cases, right? Because some grandpa, which is like going to be you and I, busted their ass and made a big business and did everything right. Like my parents, they did great, like whatever. I'm not trying to down on them, but then my kids, I'm like, maybe I can make them do a couple crappy jobs when they're younger. Maybe I can put them in coach. Are they going to, one, inherit a bunch of money, of my money when I croak, and then maybe use it responsibly? I hope so. But then are their kids and their grandkids going to be like, they're not going to be like, I better take good care of my grandpa's money. They're going to be like, whatever, I want a boat.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I didn't even know that guy.
Deserve a boat.
Yeah, I didn't even know that guy. Whatever. Who cares? He was a podcaster, whatever that means. I don't even know what that is, right?
They're like, the AI doesn't let us podcast anymore. It makes its own.
That's right. Yeah. Apparently humans talked on microphones back then. I don't know. That must have been super boring.
Why do they spend so much time and energy?
Yeah. I mean,
wait, to go back, I'm gonna finish the loop. Is you said, how do I show up at 100% every time? And I think, because I've tried to boil it down, and I have bad days. Everybody has bad days. I get yelled at by my wife. I'm in trouble for this. I didn't do that. Like I business email, things fall through. It's just like life hits you. There's just no perfect world. And I'm in bad moods sometimes for things that are external that I can't control. Right. But at the end of the day, if I'm listening to this, I'm beyond blessed. I get to do what I love for a living. Do you know how many people get to say that?
I know.
So few and far between. I get to be my own boss. No one's telling me you get vacation for 3 days and not this and not that and punch in a clock. I'm my own boss. That is the lottery in life. I have a roof over my head. I have food. So at its core, and it's not because I have those things, I constantly look at my life from a place of gratitude. And that's a way that you can frame your mindset. Because I've met people that have very little who have that same attitude that I have. And all they look at is the positive and they focus on that rather than the negative. Because it doesn't matter where you are in life. Someone always has ER than you. They're younger, they're richer, they're smarter, they're anything you want to be. There's people out there that's a compare and despair mentality. So the superpower is, how can you reframe your mind, rewire your brain the same way as a mentalist? I try to get in your head and start to focus on all the positive things you have. And even when you feel like crap, even on those days where you don't want to do it, before I get on stage, I inevitably, even if I'm writing to my wife, I'm like, so I don't feel like doing this, the moment I hit the stage or the moment I'm there is I go, I'm the luckiest guy in the world right now. Yeah. And if I come at that with a genuine sense of saying that to myself, I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into whatever I'm doing. And if you have a job you hate and you're not making enough money and all of those things are not in your fortune and maybe you're ill and maybe you've got a chronic disease and all of these things that stacked up that you say to me, you don't get my life, O's. And I'm like, I don't. You know what you are though? You're alive. You're alive, and there's literally every second of every day 2 people taking their last breath. Every second that would give anything they could have to have what you have, which is being alive for another day, another month, another year. And so if you can reframe your mind, because I know in my core, and you could find ways where I don't know if it comes from your mind, if you have a psychedelic experience, if you meditate, everyone has different ways, but I've had that experience to know that one day I will be taking my last breath and I will give anything to have more time. And so right now, while I have that time ahead of me, I always appreciate, no matter what I have, I can get in my head and say, this is silly, enjoy your life. And you have to find a way to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
And everybody has an excuse why they don't. But like I said, think about that. There's people dying every second, and you're not one of them now, so enjoy it.
New York's an interesting place for that because you look to your left and there's an investment banker talking on his phone, and you're like, I bet that guy made $7 million last year or something like that, which is, fiction you tell yourself in your head. I was on Wall Street too, so you're like, man, the partners here made $4 million in bonuses. Like, what would I do with that money?
Right.
And then you look to your right, literally on my way here, I was walking, it was raining a little, so I was going extra, extra fast. Like, not just extra fast because it's New York, extra, extra fast because it's New York and it's raining. And I see this group of like rough around the edges kind of people waiting in line, and there's a tent, like a, not a tent, what do you call it? Like a, I guess like an overhang set up, and there's guys making tea and there's some cake or whatever. And I walked my way around them and I was like, what is that? That's weird. And then this guy taps me and goes, sir, are you from here? And I said, kinda, because I used to live here. I don't anymore. And he goes, would you mind cutting the cake and serving it? We're shorthanded. And I looked then and I realized, oh, these are all like, I think, unhoused people standing in the rain waiting for free coffee and some kind of cake thing that whatever group this was had set up. And I was like, if I didn't have a live show in 10 minutes, I would do it. And he was like, okay, have a blessed day. And I was just like, man, I was a little bit miffed that it was raining on my trip to New York after getting up in my super comfy bed at my hotel with my coffee, going to see my old friend from a quarter century ago and doing an interview. And like, it's like, this is the coolest day ever. And I felt a little guilty about feeling like, oh, but it's raining, Right. And you're like, yeah, those people woke up soaked, and now they're getting free cake if someone shows up to serve it to them.
It's always that. So it's you just learn that you get to decide your mood. And I'm guilty of this. This isn't like, again, if I heard myself saying this, I would judge it from another person's perspective.
Sure.
But it's so easy to say. You can always create this excuse of, oh, well, you have money. Oh, you have fame. Or you're successful. But I didn't at one point. A lot of these things have been worked to be achieved, right? It's even somebody who's silver spoon. You can always say, oh, well, they inherited their money. There's always a thing that you can say from an internal place of negativity. But I would say, when I look at that, I've allowed people to inspire me, where I see what they have and I go, that's awesome. What can I do to further myself? So I try not to like look at people and try to see how I can cut them down, but look to see what is it that I can learn from them or that excites me. And a lot of the time when I see success now, I say, that's so awesome. They did that. Like, how did they make that happen? And does that have anything that I can learn from them?
Yeah.
And so that's a different mindset that took years to come with, because early on when I was not successful, I looked at people who were successful and be like, what does he have that I don't have? He doesn't, I'm better than him, right? Like that. I'm better than him, so why don't I have that? And that is not a mentality that brings you up. It pulls you down.
It also can get worse the more successful you are. I mean, I'm sure you know plenty of people who are successful. I see a lot of people here on this show as well, and I'm like, you mean to tell me that you've got 7 million subscribers to your whatever, you probably flew here in a private jet, and you're pissed off that like some other guy has a slightly bigger yacht than you,
right?
And you're hung up on this, man.
Hung up.
And it's like, wow, you need perspective. I don't know how to give it to you, but holy smokes. You're sad you only have $100 million and the other guy next to you has 500.
You'll never get rid of that.
You'll never, but like you will die with 50 million and he's going to die with 250 million, and your kids aren't going to love you anymore or any less. Like, it's unbelievable. So I try to remember that when I'm like, oh, should I make my show bigger? And it's like, why? Okay, so people stop you more often in the street when you, on the rare occasion you leave your house wearing pants. Like, who cares?
Right.
What matters? My kid wants to play Legos. Like, that matters way more. So I try to give myself perspective there, because it's very easy. I found myself, when I was younger, when we were in college, dude, I didn't care about being famous or rich or anything. I just wanted to like live a normal middle-class life. And then I worked on Wall Street and I was like, oh, well, money's important in America because you need to get health care. And the only way to do that is kind of like to have enough money to insure yourself against disasters. And then the show got bigger and I was like, oh, people recognize me. That feels good. And then it was like, oh, I need more of all of this
drug.
And then it was like, thankfully I started to shed that. And then once I had kids, I was like, none of that matters. Right. But I see people who have a bunch of kids and they're still obsessed with this. And it's sad because I'm like, look at the example you're setting for your kids, and you're miserable. You've got these kids that love you more than anything, and you're like, am I going to get on the Today Show again? Who cares?
Right.
No offense to the Today Show, but who cares?
I'm guilty as anyone. It's a hamster wheel where if you have an internal drive, it's a fire that just keeps getting fed.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's a content machine where that's what the world's become.
Yeah.
But also, if you decide you have ambitions and goals, and the problem is if the goals are completely externally validating, like I need this amount of money to feel whole, which a lot of people who didn't come from money think that when you have a certain amount of money, that's going to be it. Like I'm fulfilled.
Yes.
And again, I'm not judging anyone right now who is on food stamps, who can't make bills. And that's a lot of the country that they can't like literally deal with their day-to-day existence or have huge credit card debt or pay for stuff. So it's a very different barometer where once you achieve a certain amount of financial success and you have your main requirements fulfilled, beyond that, it's like they've shown study after study. I don't know that your happiness goes up by that much of a factor.
I know what you're talking about. It was like I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like there was a certain amount of happiness at basic needs met, which was like I don't know, it was like 60 grand in the U.S. or something.
Yep,
it was like
it's gone up since because inflation.
Let's say it's 75 now or 80. It's like food, housing, you don't have debt, kids are going to be educated, whatever. And then there's more happiness all the way up to like the equivalent of back then in the 90s, whenever they did this, was like 150 grand. And then there's this dead zone, and then it goes back up again at like $1 billion.
Right.
So it's like if you are making X dollars and your needs are met, you've got this moderate increase until you're kind of like lawyer doctor money.
Yeah.
And then you've got this dead zone until you found PayPal or something. And then beyond, and then fine, you've got your own jet, your own yacht, your 17 houses. And even then it's like slightly more.
More money, more problems.
Yes.
I'm around people of that level all the time, and I assure you, with their kids, with their third wives, there's definitely problems no matter how much money you have. At the end of the day, people are people.
I would love to hear, are there any funny stories of performances gone wrong that you were able to rescue somehow?
God, I've had a bunch. I mean, you just don't have it. People always see it now and they're like, oh, you're killing it. But man, early on was not killing it. There's one that really stands out where I used to do various trade shows and events where it would be kind of a themed performance. I still do a lot of these where they're kind of customized content for a law firm, for a product launch, where my show is tailored to the messaging because people digest messaging different when they're being lectured, where they kind of tune out, to if they're seeing a performance where data points are weaved in organically. It's the same as remembering the lyrics to a song versus if I handed you a sheet of lyrics, you'd never remember it. But to music, you take it in and process, and you can sing the song back to me.
Interesting, yeah.
So it's the way our brain processes certain things. So it's a real value proposition to companies that hire me to do that. But in the past, I would do these, and they weren't as fleshed out as they are now. Okay, 20 years later after being a pro.
Okay.
So there was a life-size genie lamp on stage that they did not really tell me about beforehand. And they're like, don't worry, we're going to have you...
Life size, you mean enormous? Or
enormous.
Actually, okay.
Enormous, life size. Like
as big as a human.
It's as bigger than a human.
Okay, got it.
Like maybe 12 feet long.
I was like, because a genie lamp, life-size genie lamp is about...
My bad, not life-size, like
larger than life.
Larger than life.
Yeah.
And so they had this huge thing on stage, and they wanted smoke to come out of it, and then I would rub the genie lamp so that the CEO would walk out and be the genie. So what they didn't realize, the smoke machine, once they turned it off, they couldn't turn it. Once they turned it on, it stayed on.
I was going to fill the whole stage.
The whole stage was just filled with smoke, and we were on there, and nobody could figure out how to turn it off, and we can't stop the show. And I had to have, I think it was Charlotte, the city of Charlotte. I can't remember, but I know that the Reverend Billy Graham Museum was there. So we could search this in 1 second and see. So the show is already very challenging because I have to insert all of these bullet points into a show that's only 15 minutes long. And oh, by the way, did you know that Charlotte, nightmare. So I'm flop sweating. First trick, colossal bomb. Just doesn't go well. I can't see, and I'm supposed to read someone. I'm supposed to see what they're doing. And I can't see them because of all the smoke. Bam, bam, just every trick goes worse than the last one. Thank God the finale kind of worked. I go off stage. You know it's never a good thing if you are apologizing to the client, right?
Oh, yeah.
Apologizing to the client, being like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. They seem to have liked it because people, you always forget, whenever you think something's bad, most people just don't care as much as you do.
Of course,
so that's kind of the case. Also, people typically remember the last thing they felt. So if you have a great finale, you can bring things back really strong. So know that if you can somehow even take a dud, and at the end, -1 times -1 becomes +1. So find a way to end on a high note. That's what people will remember at the end.
Yeah.
But did it go terribly? I was like, I was rethinking my profession at the end of that moment.
No.
So yeah, there's been moments like that, but that's one key one where I learned it's always my fault. The buck stops with me. Even though they did this, I should have said no. But I've been so scared to say no for so many years. I'm a go with the flow. I'm a people pleaser. That's what I have internally. I'm a performer. I want to please the people around me. So what happened here is that I learned that sometimes I have to advocate for myself. I have to be my own agent. And if you can find ways around that, but that if you're creating an experience for other people, you've got to be your own like best friend. You've got to take care of yourself. And sometimes we're willing to let other people walk all over us because we just want to not be a stick in the mud. I'm not saying be a diva, but be smart. When you decide to make a point for yourself, make it the right way.
Do you still procrastinate all the time?
I procrastinate all the time. Like I have a chapter in my book where my wife read it when she was one of like helped me edit. And she goes, "How in the world are you writing a chapter on not procrastinating?"
Yeah. That's funny.
So what I've learned is I've learned over and over, I have a trick that I use in my mind and that I tell people to try and use. This is so effective. I procrastinate the stuff I don't like to do, just like everyone else.
Surprise, surprise, yeah.
So surprise, surprise, people will be like, how could you be procrastinating? You run 20 miles a day. I like running. I've created a life where I like running. So I run marathons, ultramarathons. Me going to run is joyful.
Yeah.
It's like, it's where I tune out, zone in. So other people hate running, so they don't want to do it.
It's like going to the gym, yeah.
But calls that are confrontational, I don't like. Like we just hired somebody to do work in our home, didn't like what he did. I have to not. I had to tell him that in essence we're not continuing this.
You don't tell your wife to handle that stuff?
Should have, but she's like, you hired him, you're firing him.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good fit. So normally what I would do is string this person along until the last moment, which is not respectful of their time or mine, but it allows me to avoid that thing of like saying the thing. And you know what I did? I asked myself, how will I feel 24 hours from now? Right now I have dread. I'm like, oh my God, 1 to 10 dread, 8. I'm dreading writing this text or this call. I'm dreading.
Yeah.
How will I feel in 24 hours? 1 to 10. Like literally 1. I won't even remember I did it. I won't even remember that this happened a day from now. So all that's happening is I need time. I need to age, like an aged barrel of scotch. I need to age by one day this moment. If I could just have a remote that fast forwards like a DVR to 1 day from now, then I would do this in a second. Who cares?
Yeah.
So what I do is I imagine what I would feel like a day from now. Now, the first few times is hard to do. So what I suggest is I would set an alarm the next day and say, how do you feel now about X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
And just set an alarm.
15% worse, yeah.
And the next day, see how you feel? And you're like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Funny. Yesterday I was dreading it. So now here's what I want you to do. Do that once. Don't like pretend. I'm dead serious. Right now, think, what do you, the listener, not want to do today? What do you like dreading? Set an alarm for tomorrow. Do it now. Do it now. Just do whatever you have to do now. I sent that text immediately. Right when I thought it, I'm texting him now. And have the alarm on your phone tomorrow and see how you feel.
Oh, I see. After you actually do it.
Exactly. And now, what I want you to trick yourself is the next time you feel that dread, say to yourself and remember in your core, here's how I felt the next day. I felt like nothing. I want to feel that now. So I'm going to trick my brain, just like a mentalist does. I'm going to rewire my brain and say, that's how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I feel that now. I'm sending it now. I'm calling now. I'm doing the thing I don't want now, and I'm getting it off my plate. That was the way I tricked myself, because otherwise the dread overwhelmed me. A lot of the time, even writing my book, it was always the starting the writing. That was, once I got into it, I was fine. I never wrote anything down either. Computer, I did all of it transcribed, dictated while running.
Yeah, wow.
Because that's where my mind is free. But the first sentence was always the hardest. Sure. The dread of starting. So overcome the dread of starting. Trick yourself into doing things you dread because you know how you'll feel once you start them. And that's it. That's like going to solve 95% or more of your procrastination.
I love that. I think the other 5% is ChatGPT. Outline this for me, and you go, that's a terrible outline. And then you fix the whole thing. And you're like, I wrote the thing. Why did I do that? Because this, you ever heard this? This is not exactly the same thing, but if you want to get an answer on the internet, don't go on the internet and on Reddit or whatever and ask people for the answer. What you do is you go and you post the wrong answer, and people will spend hours correcting you.
Amazing.
Like, oh, here we go.
Amazing.
It's like
so smart.
It's like you just got to make sure that you say it wrong enough that some nitpicky person is like, no. I got to spend my lunch hour correcting this guy. Someone's wrong on the internet. Don't hold the presses. I'm not going to bed. I got to correct this guy who's wrong on the internet. Works every time. But if you just post like, hey, can someone
have
tell
a grammatical mistake. Sorry to interrupt you, but have a grammatical
Right.
mistake where you write your, Y-O-U-R.
Oh, God.
Engagement goes through the roof when the grammar police come in, and suddenly boom, 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 boom. It's
That's
just a
right.
great way to get instant engagement.
That's right. You post something, you want engagement, make a couple grammatic mistakes, and then say something factually incorrect. Oh,
Boom.
goodness. I saw you on America's Got Talent. I think a lot of people did. Obviously, I was hoping you would win that, but you framed the so-called loss.
I don't mind at all that I didn't win. And that's
Right,
like
tell me about that.
An lie detector machine. So that's a couple things. One, expectations. Expectations are the killjoy. Like they kill joy in certain ways where if you expect something, then if you don't get it, you're crushed, right?
Right.
So it's the same as there's just like that if you watch the kettle, it won't boil. But if you just do other things, it's already boiling before I even notice it. So when I went into that show, I had a couple great things going for me. I didn't care at all. Now I'm going to explain to you why. I didn't get on that show the first 2 times I tried out. That was a blessing because people that I would meet later, I'll never forget. Some guy's like, dude, you were on AGT, and he just like framed out my whole career. And I go, I love that you said that. Let's discuss because it was a jealousy, but it was kind of a knock. Like, oh, well, you were on that show, so this is why you're here. I go, I didn't get on the first time. Did you try it? He goes, yeah. And I go, so he hated the show. And I go, did you try it again? He goes, well, no. And I go, well, I did. And do you know did I get on that time? No. And so it like right there, the reframing blew this guy's mind because he knew what he was going to say to me, another magician, which is, well, dude, you got on AGT, so of course you got all these gigs now.
I see.
And we both tried out, but he assumed that I had gotten on my first try. But when he didn't try again, I just showed him, well, did you try it again? No. Well, why would I have done that? Because I didn't get on until my 3rd try. And right away, it's better than anything of shutting someone down or being defensive. I saw his mind click. I saw in his mind go, oh, crap, I could have tried out again.
Yeah.
It's the same as I have so many people in my craft who I've mentored who are like, well, you're on TV all the time. And I stop them right there and I go, have you been on TV? And they go, no. I'm like, what have you done to try? And he goes, well, nothing.
Yeah, never bought a ticket. Yeah.
I go, do you think a producer's going to see it and be like, oh, kid, you're a star? Like they can start dancing vaudevillian like we're on South Park?
Right.
I try every day. I literally network and promote harder than anyone I know. And that's why I'm on DMs all the time, networking. I'm finding opportunities where even when I was a 14-year-old kid, somebody's talking to the person at the table. And I learned this early on, is they're like, wow, this guy's so great. I saw him at a Christmas party. Same way you just talked about seeing that person.
Yeah.
I never let an opportunity go. I'm like, that's amazing. Oh, are you having a Christmas party this year? Let me take your card. What's your number? Never. They go, oh, let me get your card. I go, oh, you're not going to be in charge of my success and destiny. Let me get your info. We're going to follow up with you. I'm 14 years old. I don't have a team.
That's right.
We is me, myself, and I, and my mom who drove me here if I even got lucky enough to get a ride. I realized early on that if you put somebody else in charge of your success, they're never going to be your champion. You are going to be your number one cheerleader in life always. Yeah. You're the one who has to drive your success, never someone else.
The world rewards the politely relentless. I think that's a quote from you as well. Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Polite and relentless. Man, I wrote that? Love it. Thank you.
If you didn't, then I wrote it as a result of something I read in your book. So I hope you...
The fact that I didn't write it, because I had your audio read my book recently.
I see.
So I like literally, it's fresh in my mind, even though we edited, and God help you. Anybody who writes a book, I commend you, because it is so much more challenging than I thought it would be. I thought it would be challenging, and it was even more. Taking this ADHD brain where my ideas don't stop, sorry if I'm talking too fast, putting them on paper in a structured manner for takeaways.
And then your editor's like, can you remove 200 pages?
Can you just change this, and this? And I'm like, oh, you mean the whole book? They're like, yeah, just like, let's redo the book.
Shake it up and then redo it.
Yes.
And then can you do it in 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in 2.5 weeks, but no, take your time. But actually 12 days is better, but you do you.
This is like my trader does this. I'll be like heaving and he's like, no, take your time. And I'm like, oh, good. And I'll get water and he's like, come on, man, the clock's ticking. I'm like, you just told me to take my time. He's like, I meant like 5 seconds.
Know that anytime someone texts you no rush, that actually means get your ass here instantly, okay?
No rush. As long as
2 minutes, and then I'm texting you again, and you'll just see the dots moving and then erasing because you're not trying to be a jerk, but you're like, where are you right now?
Yes, and you're like, oh, that sounds too harsh. Nah,
yes.
Yeah. How do you, listening well is charisma, right? Or part of charisma. And look, it's one of the key superpowers of the show, I hope, up to the audience to decide, I suppose. Do you have some sort of tactical listening skill where you remember people's names? You mentioned a little bit of this earlier with the sound guy, but there's something about the gift of attention that people can't really purchase it, at least not effectively and reliably, and it just works every time.
Right. So I think I had teachers along the way that didn't even know they were teaching me.
Okay.
That I just was around people and I tried to assess, and you guys try to do this in your own life, you guys and girls. Think about people you meet, like when you leave an event, and I don't know what an event means, but most people in their day-to-day life have a certain subset of people they meet every day, people I work with. Maybe they have clients, maybe they have family members, they have friends. But when you get to be around people that you don't know as well, in social settings or business settings or wherever, at school, ask yourself, the people that stand out to you, what was it about them? Try to quantify what made them special. Now, there's certain things that are genetic lottery. They're really attractive, right? I can't do anything about that. This is the face, Jordan.
Yeah, I know.
Made for radio, right? But there's other things where people make you feel a certain way, and they make you feel good. They make you feel seen. They make you feel heard. They make you feel interesting. They make you feel like, I don't know, a better version of yourself. Those are the people you gravitate towards, and we call that charisma, that riz. And what is it about them that does that? And if you've done a good job, I've analyzed that over time, either on purpose or just by osmosis. And I noticed time and again that those people are great listeners. It's usually not to be able to talk about themselves endlessly, brag. Oh, yeah, that's a turnoff. Like there's something about that. There's the people that can weave in things about themselves that make them interesting. I'm not saying to not have achievements, but their achievements shine while letting yours shine. And I've seen that. And I've one story very specifically where I met Steven Spielberg.
Oh, wow.
And so I performed at Steven Spielberg's dad's 99th birthday party.
Wow, what a gig.
It was awesome. And I knew about it, and I knew who the client was, because like his sister actually hired me, and it's like when her name is Spielberg, it's not a big leap to be like, Google, holy crap, you're Steven Spielberg's sister. Shout out to Nancy, who I love, and I still keep in touch with. So I did his party, and I knew about this a month before, so I'm like freaking out.
Yeah.
Right? This is a fan experience, because there's certain people I'm fans of where like I watched all his movies when I was a kid, and I would consider myself somewhat of a cinephile where I watched these movies over and over, and I would watch director's cuts, and I was fascinated with the art of making movies as well. I wasn't going to be in cinema, but I liked it. So I had questions. I'm just so curious, why'd you make this choice? Or what was this like? Or what was it like working with this person, right? Just like, I just really wanted to know things. So when I went in there, I didn't know if I'd have any time with Steven Spielberg. I just,
Well, yeah, he's there for his dad's birthday.
Who knows?
Yeah.
At the end of the show, it was really good. It went really well. And I'm not humble bragging, but I felt great. And it was also intimate. It was a very small group. It wasn't like Hollywood, it was their family. And he beelines for me. And I'm thinking, oh, this is my moment, man. This is my moment. Shakes my hand. And we end up spending, again, like I wasn't looking at the clock, but like 20 minutes together. It was like crazy. And how many questions did I ask him? Zero. And it's not because I was starstruck or anything. He didn't give me a chance. And it wasn't that he was a motor mouth. There's nothing like this. It was he asked me all of these such introspective, interesting questions. Now, he asked a few off the beginning, which is like, how long have you been doing this? Where I go into autopilot. But then you saw why he was Steven Spielberg. He asked me all these fascinating questions about why I do this, where this came from, where this originated, like what made you make this choice rather than this choice. Like, he was so interested in me that I almost wanted to be like, time out, Steven.
Yeah.
I got questions for you, brother. Are we going to have another conversation? Can I get your digits?
Yeah.
But I learned when I left, first I was mad. I'm not kidding you, Jordan. I was like, this sucks. I didn't ask him anything.
Yeah, blew it.
Yeah, like just motor mouthed about me the whole time. That sucked. Like, I felt I always question myself after an event and been like, did I talk too much?
Yeah.
Was I too forward with that person? Like, I start second guessing myself.
Sounds very familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
And I second guess social interactions, and I'm like, God, and I didn't wear the right thing, and and like, was my breath good? All these crazy things. I have like an obsession with breath being good.
Internal monologue, yeah.
But he gave me lessons that took me time to realize, which is, why is he Steven Spielberg? Because of that. Because everyone that meets him has a story they're probably going to tell for years to come about the time they met Steven Spielberg, whether it was for a minute or 2 minutes or a lunch, right? That's like somebody that it's an amazing human being. And so he gave me an experience where he made me feel like a star. And I realized he turned the mirror around on me. So the more you can make someone else feel good about themselves by learning more about them. And some people go, I've heard people say this to me, I'm boring. Like my wife has gone with me to parties where we're with a lot of A-list celebrities. This person started coming to this. She's like, what I've talked about? I'm like, you have so much to talk about. It's so silly. You've helped build a huge business, right? You've birthed 5 kids. You have a huge career of your own. Like you can't just equate what you do now and these things that like you feel of yourself, where I go, you're a fascinating human being. It's so silly that you would even think that right now. Like you need to be your own best cheerleader. Everyone has their own unique perspective on life because there's been only one of you in history. And so find the things that are interesting about you or that you're fascinated by. And it might not be these grandiose stories where you've traveled the world and done this or that and this, but you can find something about anyone that you've not heard before. And if you can find that out, that makes that person feel good about themselves.
Yeah, it's charm is not necessarily about being liked. It's about making other people feel likable, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think you're onto something with that. I think it's a learnable skill. I know you agree with that. We kind of talked about that in the beginning here. So I've got a note that says Jim Gaffigan story, and I have no clue what to do with that. So lead me in, and through the magic of editing, we'll make it work. Or my team is going to leave this in and make me look like an ass, and I will just...
I think they should.
I think, you know what? No, leave it in, guys. Whatever.
So Jim Gaffigan, who shout out to Jim, I'm a massive fan of his, and we both have 5 kids and live in New York City. So Jim, if you hear this, reach out to me, man. I just want to hang out again. So me and Jim have worked together on several gigs, and we had a gig. I'm going to keep it short because I get long-winded. But we did a gig where I was on America's Got Talent in 2015. Right. And when you're on a show like that, you get heat. Now, what does heat mean in showbiz? Yeah. Heat is like moments where everybody just saw you on something, so everyone's talking about you. Where like everyone knows who you are because I was just on a big show.
Oh, and you're in the airport and people are like,
yeah, exactly. And that dissipates real fast. Sure. Okay. And if you just get caught to that and be like, I want that forever, good luck because you're in for a big, recalibration when fame goes up and down, and do not assign your self-esteem to that. But I did a show where the company that hired me had hired me 8 or 9 months before I was on America's Got Talent. So it's like buying Amazon stock 8 years ago. Bam, it popped. As soon as you're off that show, everyone's calling. My rates went up tenfold because that's showbiz. Make hay when you can. So they got me for super cheap. And I had done their event the year before.
As your agent wasn't like, cancel it and put something better on top of it.
That's where you said ethics. Like I am not going to do that because something like that burns you. Your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
So
it's a dick move.
It's a dick move. It's a dick move. And long term, you do that over and over, word gets out. You need to be smart. You need to treat people the way you want to be treated. Golden rule. So I didn't do that. I honor my commitments. They hired me. There's 2 things going against him here. One, this was a modern Orthodox Jewish crowd. Spoiler alert, Pearlman, member of the tribe here.
Right.
So I'm kind of home team, where, for example, I have a great buddy, Sebastian Maniscalco, one of the best comedians in the world.
He's funny.
When Italians see him, other people see him and think he's funny too, but the Italians love Sebastian.
Because the family stuff.
Come on, it all hits. It's the texture. His stories, his jokes are like the story of people's lives growing up with their parents, first generation.
Sentiments, it's not for you people.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm the same with the Jews, even though I've tried to broaden my appeal. But in that moment, I'm their guy. I'm home team. They've cheered for me all along the AGT process because they all saw me before I got on the show. So
they're like, a Jew in showbiz, stop the presses.
It's like them cheering the Mets. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm the underdog. I'm not the Yankees. I'm the Mets. They're cheering me.
Yeah.
Long story short, I go on the show. I get 3rd place. I'm hired to do a show for them like 2 weeks after this. Jim Gaffigan was the headliner. He got paid so much more than me. He's headlining Madison Square Garden 4 days after the show. I think that was a Friday. We were on a Tuesday. They have me introduce Jim, and they tell me, you're going to do 45 minutes or an hour. I can't even remember how much, but it was like a full set. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's not what you normally do if you're opening, because people don't have enough energy to expend for 2 full sets of entertainment, right? You only have so much energy to commit. It's like eating 2 full meals. You eat an appetizer, then you eat the meal. I'm the appetizer. He's the main attraction.
But you were just on AGT and everyone's stoked.
Exactly. So I go on. I knock it out of the park. And again, I don't want to brag because in most shows, I'm a perfectionist. I go, I could have done this and this better. No, man, I crushed it. These guys, multiple standing ovations, they freaking love me. Yeah. I'm their guy.
Except you weren't supposed to do that.
So I wasn't supposed to, but they told me to.
Right.
Then I'm introducing Jim Gaffigan. They say, introduce him now. Get him up. Get him up. I don't see him. I never introduce somebody I don't see in a room without a thumbs up, because I know when I've done that to me and I'm somewhere else,
you're in the bathroom.
I'm furious. Yeah. Because now you come up weird where everyone's like, where is he?
Why
And
did it
then
take so long?
the energy goes down. People start talking. It's awful.
That's right.
I introduced him. He wasn't ready. He came out like a minute later. So I already set him up. He's staring daggers at me. I'm like, I'm so sorry. He proceeds to absolutely bomb.
Oh, no.
Now, it's not his fault. The
Yeah.
crowd was already on my side. The crowd didn't connect with the material as much. At one point, I'm in the sound booth, and he goes, he lands like a greatest hit, like something that should have been like just insane. Hot Pockets, like if you know Jim Gaffigan. No one laughs. Tumbleweeds. He goes, what the hell did that mentalist do to you people? And like I start laughing hysterically in the back. I walked up to him after the show, went in the green room, and I apologized profusely. Like I just over and over, I'm so sorry. And he gave me just the sage advice where I go, dude, you're doing Madison Square Garden this week. And he just let me know that there's no way around. It doesn't matter what you are. And forget, if you're not in showbiz listening to this, at some point, I don't like to cuss, but you're going to eat a steaming pile of crap. Like everyone eats shit at some point. And a lot of times, even at that level, even at the level where I'm some nothing, I was on a reality show and got third place. This guy's headlining Madison Square Garden. At that point in time, there's a handful of comedians that ever done that. Right? Andrew Dice Clay and Chris Rock, and you could count on two hands how many. So the realization of a guy like this who's charging six figures and like stuff that I could never even visualize my career would eventually attain, I learned right then and there, know this forever. This guy just gave you a diamond. He polished it for you. And he let you know that you're going to do this too, and that messing up is going to just get you to the place you want to be. Those mess ups you stack for the wins. You have to. So like even now when I've had bad shows, I had things on bad TV, and you learn from it. You better learn from it. You better not just blame other people. But I know that's a stepping stone to what I eventually want in terms of success. And he showed that to me in a way that could never have been learned from a book or a video or hearing it from another person's story. I saw it with my own eyes. And I've taken that with me forever. I thank him profusely because now when things go wrong for me, I secretly find a way to enjoy it and go, good. This is a lesson I can actually use.
Yeah, that's interesting. Man, I would have felt really bad setting a room up poorly for something. I mean, not that you really had any choice at that point, but
right.
Man, you're good at one thing with performance. You're good at closing the power gaps between people and performances. It's like you're not just a dancing monkey for your clients, but you're also flattening the power balance between, let's say, the CEO and someone further down the corporate ladder.
Yep.
In a performance, and that sort of like flattens the corporate hierarchy in a fun way, I guess, because like that can't happen in a board meeting or a thing where he's doing all hands and he's at the front. You can't have this like, I'm just one of you guys. Like he can say that and everyone's like, yeah, okay, sure, but you flew here in a helicopter. You can do that at your show,
right? And
it's like a unique experience. Can you discuss sort of humanizing the hierarchy? Because you do this consciously, right? This isn't just a thing.
Very consciously.
Yeah.
So again, like I always think right now of somebody listening to this and switching off and being on board by this guy and thinking, what can I tell you that you can use in your life? Like I always come at that message. That's my inner mentalist. So in my profession, I am seeking out unique selling propositions. I'm always trying to find something that either I do different than everyone else, I do better than everyone else, or in a best case scenario, I do both, something different and better than anyone else. And as an entertainer, yes, I'm creating those fun moments and I'm creating that dynamic in the room, and that's great. That's amazing. But if you're paying me a lot of money to come into a corporate event, I'm trying to see what else can I provide you that's of value. Ask yourself, whatever your job is, what can I provide a value to a client, right, that other people aren't? And I learned very early on that in these rooms, there's sometimes a big distance between the people hiring me and the people at the top. And what I want to do is be a safe bet who makes people look good. Making people look good is always a secret to success. Think about that. In every business, whoever brings you in any, it doesn't matter what you are. I don't care what you do. If you're a teacher in a school, if the students are doing a great job and they like you, you're going to do a better job also. They'll want to learn your thing versus the teacher they hate and they throw paper planes around at and are on their phones. So in my situation, I learned that the CEOs sometimes have this chasm between them and everyone else.
Yeah.
So the humanizing them is if I, who's an outsider, can do things that are fun with them. Now, I call it playful ribbing. I'm never going to embarrass you or I won't get hired back.
Yeah.
But if I can do something funny, I'll give you a great example. I'll ask them to think of something from their childhood that's kind of silly, like a story that's back there, like who was the name of your first crush? Or I recently, and this is maybe one of the best stories of my life, Jeff Bezos stood up at a show of mine. Heard of him? Amazon?
I've heard of that guy.
Jeff Bezos stood up And I said to Jeff Bezos, I said, Alexa has changed my life. You're a smart speaker because like real magic. My kids ask it to play songs. They ask it, what's the weather going to be? You have invented real magic in my life where we ask questions and it answers by pure magic. I go, so Jeff, I want to give you a gift because you've given me such a great one in my family. Ask me any question you want right now, but something that with all of the technology of Amazon Web Services, if I had the whole internet at my disposal, I could never find this out about you. You've never written it. You've never said it. You've never whispered it. Nobody would know this ever but you. And he stood up there and he's like, and it was this weird moment. And he goes, what was the name of a kid I got into a fight with in 3rd grade? Okay. And I go, you're a man of numbers and you know how to scale a business. What % chance could I know this? 1%, half %, 0.1, 0.00. He goes, 0. I go, we're going to make this a moment you talk about for the rest of your life. And then I did what I do and figured out exactly the way I read people. I got a few of the letters, just like Wheel of Fortune, and I got the name. I believe in my core. He's seen other magicians in his life. He's seen other mentalists. He'll remember that story forever. Now, in a room like that, what I've done is I've created, think about it, an inside joke that everyone in that room can walk up to the big boss and say, oh man, you beat up that kid Jerome. He had nothing on you. I've created a level playing field where I even say in it, I go, guys, you ever want to talk to Jeff? Just ask him about Jerome. He got the rough end of the stick. Am I right, Jeff? And so I've created a joke. I've created a moment that's shared with everybody that they now have a dynamic they didn't have before. A great way to think about this is a parallel. If you're in New York City and you go in an elevator in a skyscraper, you don't talk to people. What are you, some psycho?
Some kind of weirdo?
You look down at the floor, buddy.
Exactly.
Right, stay on your phone. Stay in your lane.
I got to admit, I got to say, in New York, this is changing. People now are bantering in elevators, and I'm like, what planet am I on? We used to be the unfriendly city. What's going on here?
I don't think it's unfriendly. It's just they stay in their lane. But let's just shift the dynamic very shortly.
Sure.
Let's say you're in an elevator and it rides local. You hit and it takes 30 or 40 seconds to get there.
Yeah.
You're still not talking to people. The social contract is in place. But let's say that the elevator stops, stuck for 30 seconds, and then keeps going. Everyone in that elevator starts joking around with each other. Right? What happened? Nothing changed. The amount of time was the same. The people were the same. Something shifted in the room, the perspective where we've got gallows humor. And now you are all in it together because you had this situation. That's that. Elevator stuck moment is what I do for the people. And I realized that's a value that I can give to audiences where the CEO will write me personal notes. And sometimes there's mergers and acquisitions, there's layoffs, there's just new hires that don't know each other. I want to create memorable bonds in the room so that people can approach each other and break that glass wall and break that ice. And that's just something I do. I tell you, what could you do in your profession that allows you to do that? If you're in sales and you sell pharmaceuticals, everyone else just goes in and pitches what's so great about the medicine. What if you walk in there and they always give the same goodies to the doctor? Here's a pen with the name. Here's Virusia or whatever the name is. How do you instead learn something about that person and personalize that moment? Oh, their kid plays lacrosse? That's so funny. Why don't we ask them about that next time? Why don't you bring a special lacrosse, like a gift that's lacrosse tailored to that person that shows you took the extra thought and made it about them, right? That's where you become the above average person, because everybody thinks they're above average, but facts, 49% of us are below average. That's a fact.
That's a scary thing.
You ask people if they're below average, 90% of people go, that's not me. Sorry, statistically it is.
Yeah, what's the Lake Wobegon effect where everybody thinks they're above average?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's where you ask me. I found that as my USP, my unique selling proposition, which is I could do something for them that's above and beyond most entertainers and speakers they've had. Find your superpower like that. And if you can't find it, look for the pain points. That's one of the things. Look at something people don't like to do that you do better than them.
Humanizing high status people unlocks that extra level of connection. Imagine getting beat up by
humanizing, I don't want to say low status, but humanizing the people at the bottom and at the top and making you equal.
Flattening
closing a gap where everyone feels comfortable with each other.
I like that. Can you imagine how that guy feels now getting beat up by Jeff Bezos? Like, either he's telling that story or he's taking it to the grave because it's like, oh man, you got beat up by Jeff Bezos. And look at what he made for himself. It's like, yeah, you still live with your mom.
Wait, I want to try something because when we did this and I said beat up in 3rd grade, you look and you ask yourself the same question. You're like, did you get in a fight in 3rd grade?
I was like, what grade was it where I got in a fight with that kid? And I was like, I wonder if he could guess that.
So what's funny is, do you see, what happens is, the way our brains work is if I say right now, walk into your home and sit down on your couch. In your mind, it is impossible for your mind not to conjure up an image of your couch when I said that.
Right.
Do you understand? There's a picture in your mind that occurred that when you did that. So for example, when I said that, most people will be like, I wonder what I would have said in that situation. And the first question I asked was to think of your first crush. And the same thing happened in your mind where you looked up, and this is where you ask me, how much of this is reading people versus reading minds?
Yeah.
I can't read minds. The first thing I say in a show, I read people. And so when I asked you, right before, to think of your first crush, people always go back in time and they go, oh my God, who was my first crush? I want to ask you a question. Before today, right, I walk up into the studio. We hadn't seen each other in 25 years.
Right.
And you're married 8 years. Is that right? I asked you about that earlier.
And I got it on the first try.
Yes. Make sure she knows. When was the last time that you even thought of the person you had your first crush on? Before today, would you have said it was days, months, or years?
It was easily months or years, because I feel like somebody it's been months or years, probably years.
Have you ever mentioned on a podcast, ever come up? Is there any way we could know
Very
this? I mean,
unlikely.
the name?
Very unlikely. Yeah, I can't say. It's been 2,000 episodes, so maybe.
We'll
but
sleuth it out later, because I'm going to tell you, most people, they'll think if it's not. I want you to think of her first name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. And I want you to count the letters in her first name to yourself.
Okay.
See, it was people, when they do this the first time, it's much easier. The second time is different because I have different tactics. So you said okay very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, that's not because of knowing her name. It's because counting shorter names takes less time. Counting longer names, like if this name was Alexandra, oh my God. So it's a quick name, but most people, if the name is 3 or 4 letters, they nod and then say yes because it was quick, it's a sight word. If they just say yes, it's 5 or 6 letters. And when you get to 7, 8, 9, there's a noticeable pause in much the same way as playing drums. You can hear the beats. I just said the numbers to see your reaction, and I could tell you, again, I'm not 100%, it's not a magic trick. Her name is 5 letters long, isn't it?
Yeah.
See? So I'm watching and studying you to do it. And now I've created a Wheel of Fortune puzzle, Hangman. Again, there's no way that I could know this name. Can we just let the listener know this is not set up or staged?
No, and people know I'm a skeptic, and they're loving my
this.
writhing and squirming right now.
So now you have 5 letters in this person's first name, and you see them all in front of you, and we're playing a game of Hangman.
Okay.
I want you to imagine that you have guessed a letter in the name, and you've gotten it right. You're like, oh my God, and I write that letter down. I write on one of the, and you see one letter, and you can see it in your mind right now. Can you see one of the letters in the name? Don't tell me what it is, but think about it.
Yeah.
Now, my instinct, knowing that you're a skeptic, is assuming I don't think you would have done the first letter, because the first letter is the biggest giveaway in most words. You didn't do the first letter, did you?
No.
Because again, you're like, if I tell him that, he's going to know the whole thing. And then like you were on the fence and you were doing it. And then right here, you're trying to cover your mouth so I wouldn't see it. But there's, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's 2 letters that I get very confused because they sound almost the same on customer service. If I call customer service and say the letter T, you can't tell if I said a D or a T right now. Is it D as in David or T as in Tom?
Right.
You didn't do that, but you did this. And it's the inflection, it's the squeezing of the lips phonetically, which is either M or N. N is the letter you were thinking of, wasn't it?
Yes,
and then
is.
the N is in the middle. Renee. Is her name Renee?
Yes. What the hell, man? I know you said it's not magic, and I don't believe in magic, and it's not really magic, but that sure as shit felt like magic.
I hope it feels like magic.
Because I came into this being like, I'm going to pay attention to everything this guy does. Like, you were sitting here, you saw this, I didn't give this away earlier. I was standing over there.
Well, hold on. Let's try one quick question.
Yeah.
You didn't give anything away.
No.
You didn't even know where we'd go with this, because I was like talking about, first crush, and then I mentioned Jeff Bezos. There's all different paths we went down, but I did ask you to do one thing before we got here, so I want them to know. I said to you, how many episodes have you had? And you said, well, I've had 2 shows, so it kind of didn't count. So we had 2 different shows.
Right.
And I said, I want you to think in your mind of all different guests you've had on.
Yes.
And I said, I want you to go back and forth and change your mind a bunch of times before you stop on one person in your mind and you focus on just this one person. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You did not think of one person. You thought of multiple people before you decide to stop in your brain on one person. Is that a fair assessment?
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm putting you on the spot. Do you know about how many different people you thought of before you got to this person, or you don't really know? It's kind of up
it was between 4 and 6.
Okay,
Should I have
that,
not said that?
No, it didn't matter.
Okay.
Didn't matter. I would have guessed it, but that's good. That's totally fine. Most people would have done that because the illusion of free choice. You don't go to your second person because you're like, that's obvious. So then you go to your third. Then your third, you're like, I can do better than this one. So you go to fourth.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it's getting to like deeper. I think. Renee, are people going to hear this only, or they're going to see visuals as well? Is this primarily consumed to audio?
Our audience is mostly audio. Like 1% of it is on YouTube.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going audio so you guys can hear me, but I'm going to let you know the stuff that I saw from Jordan while we were going. When we did Renee, female, that's a female interaction. There's romantic. When you're romantic, you're more tense. It's just your body language. It's like when you walk up to a girl or a guy, member of the opposite gender or same gender, depending on if you're heterosexual or homosexual, is your body conducts tension in a different way if you're attracted to that person than if you're just friends. I don't think that's a weird thing. We know that. I think you switched gears. I saw a distinct switch. The guest you thought of was a guy. Is that correct? It's just the shift in the body language. I'm not going to go through the whole path of, did you do this? I don't think you did an athlete because I still think so. Because when we were talking earlier, I name dropped, man, your Kobe Bryant episode was amazing. And you were like, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was the first guy. And I was like, I'm not picking that.
And so as soon as I said that, that's like a disqualifier.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to do Kobe, in your mind, you immediately go, I'm not going to do another athlete either. Because now he's trying to get me to pick an athlete.
Yeah.
That was the end of my process. I didn't do any subliminals from that moment on. But I'm going to write down, I think you would have done a big picture thinker. I think we would have done somebody. And then I mentioned, oh man, you had one with a mob boss, Sammy the Bull Gravano. Love that episode. I name dropped a few of the episodes I liked. I showed you I was a bit of a fan. No, I think you wanted a big picture thinker. I've written down a name. I'm putting it down on the table. Just so everybody knows, I don't want to narrate baseball. I'm closing the marker. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're closing
There's
the
nothing
marker.
for me to change right now. This is not a trick. This is done. In fact, can you close your eyes? Close your eyes. Don't look. For anyone watching, I'm going to show the camera. I'm going to show Paul, our sound guy, and just yell out, Paul, that you've seen it. Say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've written it. I've shown it. It's not changing. Open your eyes. I think the third person was like, again, I think was a famous guest. In your mind, I don't know if you remember who you went with, but this is just where your mind went. And then you jump to somebody less famous. And then you go, I don't think he's going to get this one, though. So you felt a little bad for me. You're like, he's not going to get it. He's not going to get it. How often do you repeat guests?
Yeah. Rare, not super rare, but it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
And so I thought that you had a repeat guest earlier in your mind, and it clicked that you're like, I've had them on more than once. This person, have you only had on once?
I feel like it's been a couple of times.
It has been a couple?
Yeah.
I wrote it. I'm done. It's not Malcolm Gladwell, is it?
No.
So it's funny because that's what I was going to write. And instead, if you want to say it, and I'm going to turn it around, tell us all, who did you think of?
Right now, just tell you?
Please.
Charles Duhigg.
Charles Duhigg is exactly what I wrote down on this paper.
That is crazy. Okay. That is crazy. And you know what? It was a repeat guest, but not even from, I think, my current show. I think it was on my old show and this one. And we've been together the whole time. It's not like you sat around and, like, even if you had access to the things in my brain, had time to Google any of this, like, you've been with me in person with your phone, wherever your phone is. This is
not even here.
No. And you forgot it, and we went downstairs and got water with my phone and paid for it too. And we talked the whole time. So there's no way, like, there's either an earpiece in your ear.
Come check my ear right now.
I feel like I need to.
Come check my ear.
Yeah.
It's funny when people say there's an earpiece because I tend to roll up to these things alone. Like when I rolled up to Rogan alone, and that was one where it was like, again, I don't want to call it the Lion's Den, but I had been planning for that one for years, and I had really big things I wanted to do. And anybody listening to this, I don't want to shamelessly self-promote, but watch the clip of me guessing Joe Rogan's ATM PIN code because you're skeptical.
Yeah.
But Joe is a different level of skeptic where Joe, I don't want to call you a people pleaser, but I think that even if you figured me out right now, you wouldn't eat me alive because we have a history. You wouldn't like just out me on the show.
I would not embarrass you. Like even now I have like a couple of small things and I'm like, I'm not going to say that because it's going to take away from the
So I believe that Joe Rogan at the time would have said anything. He would have just, anything that he was thinking, he would have said as to how I did it. But no, that's, I'm telling you that in the moment, I had no problem because he has had another couple mentalists on over the last 10 years. And one of the mentalists, he just on the spot told him exactly how he did it, everything he thought, and just gutted him. It was like, it's painful. It was painful to watch. And so I went in there and said, there's no way that's happening to me. And so I'm going to be bulletproof. And so I went in there, and again, why am I saying this? Is because there is no trick to it. It was a go for it and go for broke. And you would know more than anything where you could have changed your mind. Even at this last moment, you could have picked somebody different.
Yeah.
There's just, what you could have. And would I have gotten it? 100% I would have. Has nothing to do, it's where your mind goes that you're giving it up, of course.
That's crazy. I thought about it, but then I was like, I can't do it. Can't do it. I was like that.
Could have.
Unreal. Yeah, actually unreal. Like really, really amazing and talented. Wow. Incredible. I don't want to figure it out, actually. It's more fun not having a clue and being like you said before, like having a little bit of an idea that's probably totally wrong. I'm fine with that. That's like the fun of this whole
I think that's
thing.
the fun. I think that's the wonder. I think we don't get that enough. That dopamine hit. I like to laugh. I really love laughing. I love comedy, but I love to be blown away.
Yeah.
And being surprised and being blown away are two things that are in rare supply these days, especially when you have the world at your fingertips in a phone where you can see anything at any time, anywhere. That moment of being like, oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Is few and far between.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to know how it works. Although I did try to find out yesterday. I was like on the Reddit magic trick thing, and I was
They're
like,
so bad. It's funny, the YouTube exposure videos and the Reddits, they might get 10% right, but man, the stuff they get wrong, it's not even Occam's razor. I'm like, dude, I wish I was that. Like somebody told me that I had a team follow Joe Rogan around to gas stations and banks. Joe said he doesn't even know where his ATM card is, for the record.
Yeah, most of us don't even
He
know.
doesn't seem like a dude who's going to the ATM, you know what I'm saying?
He even knew his ATM PIN when you
That was the funniest part about it. He said I barely remembered it.
Yeah.
And so that was there, like, you've been following him at gas stations because he uses a debit card. I go, first off, I don't think Joe has a debit card. You know, not to judge his socioeconomics, but he's doing really well. So I think he probably is credit carding that environment.
Right.
Not a direct.
And also, like, what do you have a drone that's so high he can't hear it, and it's zoomed in on him, like it's just
I told him if that's what I'm doing, dude, you should be a lot more worried than my mentalist show.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. That's so insane and crazy. Yeah, so I tried to find out what other, like.
Did you get stuff? Did you figure anything out? Did it work?
It was all like, most of the threads were like, I'll tell you what, he's really good at what he does. And people were like, yeah, we want to know how it works. And people were like, well, it's a mixture of sleight of hand and da-da-da. And I was like, this person has no clue.
Right.
No one had a clue, which
Some people do. Some people do. I tell you, 10 to 20% of the stuff is right, and it's fascinating. And occasionally people get stuff really right. I'm like, I wonder if they're mentalists, even though we're on a pretty tight code where most of us don't reveal things.
Yeah, that would be
because it's an insular world, and if you kind of crap on it, you're crapping on everyone. But I don't think that's a bad thing. There's just no way around the fact that if you're that interested, that you go down the wormhole that much to really learn how I did enough things, you will likely get into this stuff.
I would
because
imagine
that's what I did.
Right.
So it's hard for me to fault somebody who's that fascinated and passionate, because you know what? Maybe you actually want to start doing this yourself too. Mm-hmm. And at that point, once you prove to us that you do, that's how people start taking you under their wing and you start becoming a mentalist.
Wow. It's really, really incredible. I mean, so you're not mind reading, you're pattern reading, right? Whether
I'm doing a lot of things. So again, I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is tell people a false impression, because I'm here, you know, on a sales path promoting a book, and the book, the last thing I ever want somebody to do right now is buy my book and be like, why didn't I learn any of the tricks? I'm not teaching a single trick in the book. If I were right now to teach you right now for the next few hours how to guess someone's first crush, you know what you'll do with that? Nothing in your day-to-day life.
Nothing.
It's an awesome party trick. I have taken that party trick and capitalized on it in a huge way. I've literally taken that one thing and I've done a lot with it. You most likely won't unless you want to become an entertainer and a mentalist. But you asked me earlier, what are my ethics? I don't work for the CIA or the FBI. I don't sit in on
you didn't say
corporate
Mossad.
cultures.
Everyone online thinks you work for Mossad.
So I don't necessarily work for corporations and lawyers and tell them which juror to pick.
Right.
Have I been offered those roles? Yes.
That's
why?
some Uri Geller crap,
So
though,
it's
right?
Uri Geller, but I'm torn on that. I'm torn on that because I am a very good student of the human condition and what people do, but I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. So I don't know how many points percentage-wise I could give you of telling you based on instinct what I think of someone that not because of mentalism, but because I've spent thousands of hours studying people, not doing tricks, that I have insights into how they behave.
You have to be so careful how you sell that, because it's fraud if you say, I can, like if you were to say, I can do this, but it's actually that, that's fraud.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But also, people take pharmaceuticals and test them against a sugar pill because that's how strong a placebo effect is.
Yeah, sure.
The core belief that you can do something is enough to make it happen for some people.
For certain things like pain, yes.
Exactly, for many things, to be honest. So where am I going with this? The book is taking all of the skills of a mentalist that aren't guessing things. And what I did is decided, otherwise, why would I write this? I don't need this. There's nothing in my life that needs me to write a book.
I did wonder why you wrote a book.
I wrote a book because I had so many people asking me these questions where I said, I have these skills that I think will help people genuinely. I don't need the money from this. I don't need any of that. I want to see how people using these skills can improve their life. And these are skills that are surrounding being the most memorable person in a room, channeling your inner mentalist, where you use the ability to know what people are thinking, not as a trick, but to gain a tactical advantage in your life, to read them better, to make better relationships with people, to win them over. If you know how people think, to win them over, to create deeper bonds and better your relationships and increase your sales, and it's going to help your life. It's the ultimate cheat code in life, is the skills of a mentalist used in your everyday world.
What's one principle from mentalism that you think should be taught, like in schools, for example?
So I think there's something to do with mirroring body language that I think is really, really useful, which is I get people to share things they wouldn't want to share because I make them feel at ease and open. It's what you do. You don't realize. It's a mentalist skill. It's the ability to know when to pause, when to listen, and when to allow people to continue. So in my show, people give me a lot of the material I end up using. The same way you have a set of questions, but you're not a robot. You sometimes zig and zag and you ask different questions. So for me, within the guise of my world, I will sometimes go on a tangent where somebody tells me something that, oh, I just hit a nerve. Ding, 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 like that game Operation. Zzz. This is something that if I get this right, they're going to really freak out.
Yeah.
I didn't know going into it that that's what I was going to do. It's called cold reading. I'm assessing them in real time as to things that they aren't necessarily knowing they're giving away to me.
This is like tone, micro expressions, narrative cues, language stuff.
This is things as simple as why I leaned into a first crush for you and how that would be so impossible rather than a kid you got into a fight with later in school.
Although now I'm like, can you guess that guy too? I don't know. That's in the back.
I think we might do that before I go.
Okay.
So I'm saying those little tidbits that people give you. So again, active listening and using your memory as your superpower are two incredible cheat codes that are in the book that you'll finish the chapter. You'll be doing them 10 minutes later. And my hope is that 10 years from now, you'll still be using them in your day-to-day life. That, to me, is a book that is worth its weight in gold. If I have something from it, like when I read Malcolm Gladwell the first time and got the 10,000 hours and learned what that means, muscle memory, and how you learn your craft, and all of those different things that he put in there in Blink and Outliers, like, wow. This is how people became the best of the best at what they did.
Right.
And he studied it from a perspective of not they got lucky. There's no luck in life. There's hard work, persistence, dedication, putting yourself in the right spot in the right time over and over where you create luck. It's me trying out for AGT 3 times and not taking no for an answer. That changed my life. So I think those are the core parts of my book. There's many other ones. There's great stories thrown in there to make it exciting and entertaining, and I'm an entertainer, so it better be funny. It better be topical. But if I can enhance your memory, if I can allow you to walk into a room and be the most memorable person, if I can allow you to read the people around you more effectively so that you can deepen those bonds, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your friends and family, whether it's people you work with, work for, or selling to, I think that will make a meaningful impact in your life, and that's why I wrote this book.
You know, it's funny because I shouldn't admit this. I didn't know you had a book until yesterday morning.
Nice.
I did all my prep before that.
That means I'm calling my social media manager and publicist. We need more. So honestly, we're sitting on so much press that if you don't know about this book in 3 weeks, the week it comes out, 60 Minutes profile, New York Times Sunday feature, like ton of podcast. Like if you don't know it then, Monday Night Football, College Game Day, then I'm going to be very disappointed because we're going to have a tsunami that hits.
That's great. Good for you, man.
I'm trying.
What's the hardest type of person to read, you think?
An apathetic person.
Just not engaged.
Apathy.
I see.
Apathy. Somebody who's on their phone who doesn't care, who you haven't earned their trust. A heckler is better because a heckler means they're in it, but they're in it for a different kind of attention. So if you can learn people's motives and what's going on in their head, you can appeal to their motives. Most people would think that somebody who's negative is worse than somebody who's neutral in this case. Somebody apathetic who looks at me and doesn't care what I'm doing, very hard to win them over. Somebody who's heckling me, I want to do this. No, do that. All that means is they want to be in charge. They want the attention to be on them, right? I'm learning what drives them, what motivates them. They want attention. I'm going to give you the attention you want. And we're going to try and do things under your rules. So, I have a deck of cards. I don't want that. I want my own deck of cards. Get your own deck. You don't shuffle. I shuffle. Good. Let's make this impossible. Let's build this up where this is going to be so crazy. There's no way I can do. Is there anything else we should do right now? I'm for sure cheating. What else could you think of? Because I can tell you're a guy who doesn't like to get, to have people fool them. So you tell me, what can we do next? All you're doing is shining a spotlight on that person. So now they're getting that feeling. And now if you can do something amazing, bam, now you've won them over. So that's just within my world. Know in your world what that is. In your world, if somebody ignores you, to me, it's very hard to overcome ignorance and just complete. But somebody that doesn't like you or likes you, they're interested in you at the very least. They're aware of you. Awareness is huge.
Yeah, it's funny. The people who write in with critiques and say, I hated this and I hated this and I hate you now and I'm unsubscribing. There's a part of me that's like,
God, how did you take so much time to comment?
Yeah, but I also don't believe them. I think that if I got offended by a random podcast that I didn't really care about, I would just unsubscribe and never listen again and not think the host needs to know about it.
Yeah.
But if I was upset by something and I really actually did care about that show, that host, whatever, then maybe I'd say I was incredibly disappointed by this. But I don't think I would be like, and I'm never listening to you again. That's just a weird reaction. I think those people secretly did not unsubscribe and were maybe slightly disappointed by something and are possibly more engaged than ever.
It's wild that they took the time. I just very rarely go out of my way to leave negative reviews. Even though I know you should. I know there's instances where save the next person, hair in your food, tell me that so I decide on Yelp whether to go there. So I get it. But I always give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm a benefit of the doubt kind of guy, unless somebody wrongs me several times, and then I go shame on me.
Yeah, of course.
But typically I really work on that golden rule as often as possible. So the fact that somebody go out of their way to do that, I honestly find it fascinating and I want to win them over. That's a -1. That's like if they're -5 on me, if I turn them to me, somebody with that kind of passion, when that passion is turned around and amplified towards being positive, that person might be one of your champions later.
Yeah, no, I love that. I really like that mode as well. It's like kill them with kindness in many ways if you can. And some people just love to be angry, but I feel like if you can flip that around. Like, yeah, you love to be angry. You want to be angry at me. What if we agree on more than you think? What if there's something else here? And I like finding those connections with show fans or anti-fans or whatever you might call them. And man, you don't need to hear this from me, but I'm super proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
It's been 25 years, literally 25 years. And I remember when I met you in South Quad, you were incredibly charming, outgoing, fun. Everybody liked you. It does not surprise me at all that you have achieved a huge level of success, but it's still cool and inspiring to watch.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy to see this. Like, I love the fact that I'm excited for the next few months when I get to say, oh yeah, I went to college with those Pearlman. And they're like, oh my God, like that guy that was on everything. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, exactly. It does not surprise me at all that you've made an amazing career for yourself. And I'm excited to root for you from the sidelines, man. Really.
Appreciate you, Jordan. That's touching, man. You too. I think both of us, like, you never know what the future will hold. And there's a lot of pinch me moments where, did you dream for yourself that you would have this as well? It's like one of those things where I never had a goal of this. So people, when they say to me like, oh, was it always your dream to be a mentalist for a living? I'm like, are you kidding? I didn't even know that was an option on a multiple choice.
Right.
Like, give me a break. No, I hit the lottery. If this is a simulation, I got a cheat code. Up, down, left, right on Contra. Like, I don't know how. I don't have the 99 lives. But it's one of those things where, again, I'm a person who's all about not motivation, because motivation fizzles within a few hours, a few days, it's gone. I'm about action. And I think that so much of what I've learned over time is that no one will get things done for you. That's a misnomer in life. And when I quit my job 20 years ago, it was about 20 years ago, I worked on Wall Street. I had a very high paying job for being a 22-and-a-half-year-old kid out of college. I didn't deserve any of this.
Yeah.
God bless. I don't know how it happened, but again, hit the lottery. I quit that job, and everyone around me, while they were supportive, air quotes, and they're like, oh yeah, go after your dream. I know behind closed doors, people are like, dude, this guy's an idiot. Like, what's he doing?
You left whatever firm to go do magic.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like, that's like when I started dating my wife, she's like, what do you mean you're a magician? And I'm like, no. She's like, so no, but what do you do? I'm like, no, I'm a magician. She's like,
I'm going to make your future disappear.
Oh yeah. That's like the opposite of quote unquote a panty dropper.
All
like,
your
she's
dreams
like,
you had,
like, you are not worthy of us kissing right now. Who does magic for a living? But that's a different story. I can't believe I won her over. that was the best trick of my whole life. I don't call it a trick, but that was the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. But when I quit, I had a realization the following morning, which is like just a moment that it's exactly like seeing you now achieve the success and being proud of you as well, was I was on a couch, I was eating cereal, I was in my boxers, my girlfriend went to work. I'm like, screw you, I'm sleeping in.
Right.
Watching daytime television that I haven't watched except for like the one time I had a fever when I stayed home from work, and having this like moment that dawned on me where I'm like, this is the life, man. Just chilling. And I couldn't keep watching TV.
No.
I turned off the TV and I was like, I could do this until the money runs out that I saved. I have like a year of like savings that I gave myself, like runway, which was a blessing. But I set myself up for success. I call it stacking the deck in your favor. But I was like, I could just keep doing this and nothing will happen. Or I have to make it happen. There is no playbook for success in being a magician. It's not like being a lawyer, pre-law, this.
Yeah.
Any field, period, I would ask you nowadays.
Really?
I would say anybody. It used to be that you get a job, you work at a factory, you get benefits. I would say over and over in every profession now. Doctors, it's all changing. Lawyers, it's all changing. Every field that you can do, the people at the top make their own success. They differentiate from others. You don't just go to Harvard and then get a degree. There's no rules anymore. The phones have democratized the world. You, in 1 year from now, could have a 7-figure business that you have built from the palm of your hand. And that's not could. That's people are doing it every single day. There's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse. You can learn anything on YouTube in a day if you sit down and crunch at it and keep at it and keep at it. You can learn to be a plumber. You can learn anything. So I don't know, I have this mentality of if you hear this podcast and you're inspired, make goals, take action right away. If I could become a mentalist and you could become a successful podcaster, the person listening to this in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years can be the thing they want and be successful at it. I guarantee it.
What we can't get, by the way, congrats on keeping your hair. We can't guarantee that part. That's the one part we can't guarantee.
I think Propitia's still working, brother. This is heavy Propecia use since I was 22. Bam.
I didn't know that. Yeah, no, I think I just got lucky.
This ain't no natural.
Do you want to try to guess the kid I got into a fight with? Is that happening?
I'm going to leave you on a hanging thread.
Okay.
You know what? You thought of the kid that you got into a fight with, but again, I set that up. And then if I got your phone out, even though I don't want to use your phone because they're going to say the phone's involved, and you looked up the kid you got into a fight with, your name is 111th in the country right now in terms of popularity.
Right.
It's 111th. I looked it up.
We looked it up earlier, yeah.
111. It's not a common name, but it's not uncommon either. It's not like Oz. Oz, like looks like Oz, is not top 1,000. Yeah. The kid you got into a fight with, if you had to guess the level of popularity, how would you think it would have been a top 100 name?
Probably.
Okay, so see, right away, we've started narrowing it down. Versus, if I say to you, right, if I play the game different, say pick somebody from your past that the name is not even close to top 100, and you come up with a kid where it's a hard name, now there's no way I could just get lucky. So if you thought...
I could do that too.
But you did that, right? You thought of somebody from your past with a hard name, and again, do this. The kid you thought of, when was the last time you spoke to him? Not the kid you got in a fight with, random kid, like hard name.
Oh yeah, no, it's been
a minute, years?
Like 35 years.
Haven't thought of him in 35 years.
Yeah.
Not in touch. Not Facebook friends. Never. No chance has ever been mentioned on any of the 2000 podcasts.
Specific reason that I'll share with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Count the number of letters in his first name.
Okay.
Shouldn't have, you did the exact same thing as last time.
I was going to hide it this time and I forgot.
So it's funny because you were actually, if somebody could time you, I bet you would have been within 200ths of a second.
Oh,
it was 5 letters again, wasn't it?
No.
Ooh. Hold up. Let me ask you on this.
Get the magic marker. The real magic marker.
I think we have 2 different people that we're thinking of. I think there's somebody. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Am I right? There's somebody with an inside joke, and there's a second kid.
Because the kid with the fight kid.
Oh, I don't want the fight kid.
Right.
Scrap it. Easy name.
Because that was 5 letters.
It was.
Yeah. The fight
I got
kid
one
was.
of the 2. The other kid. It's not 5 letters. What was when I said come up with this kid, and I said go back in time, and you see him today after 35 years.
Sorry.
There's 3 kids.
Yeah, the kid we did earlier.
Oh,
My
who's
bad.
that kid?
Yeah, that is 5 letters.
Are you kidding me? I'm just playing the odds here.
Okay.
I bet I got the fight kid. The kid you thought of, who you said there's an inside joke, you have some sort of history with.
Yes.
If he was here right now and you walk up to him, the same way you said to me, South Quad, Bush House, could you say something to him that the 2 of you would get and none of us, there's no way we would get?
Definitely. Yeah.
Definitely?
Yeah.
Is there any way I could have gleaned this, found this out? I'm not even guessed this
no,
person's name.
it's
just an inside joke. Something.
The inside joke you would never. No, of course not. No,
way, it's impossible.
No, it's not possible.
This is the Jeff Bezos, who was the kid I fought. This is the moment of a question where you didn't even know where we were going with this. We end up here. Inside joke, something about you and somebody you haven't thought of in 35 years.
Yeah.
How many words are you thinking right now? Just how many words are in this inside joke?
So I have to explain that I confused you.
Don't explain nothing.
Okay.
Nothing's confused.
Because the 35 years thing was a different person. This is another friend. Okay.
The person who you have an inside joke with, and you just thought, how many words are involved in the inside joke?
2.
2 words.
Yeah.
Think of the first word. Think of the second word.
Yep.
Okay. Now, inside jokes usually fall down there's only a few. Don't say anything. Nicknames are big. Nicknames are big. Places are big. Expressions are big. People are big. Those are the kind of thing, because you either met the person in a place and you have a place that's in common. You have a nickname where you have some sort of intimacy with this person, right? Sometimes you have someone in common with them, person again, and then you have, see, I think this was time related because we were talking about people. You were in the same grade. This is school. This is school. The person you're thinking of is a guy, right? The guy is a guy, but the person, I don't think it's a place. I think it's connected to another person who is a girl. Does that make sense?
That does, yeah.
See, I knew there's a female because you got your body language. You went to a girl, but I knew it was a guy, so I'm trying to figure it all out.
Okay.
And then I was talking about school, and we were talking about school together, and this is somebody, I think somebody you didn't like. Oh my God. I think this has to do with the teacher you both didn't like.
Oh my God.
Oh my, am I right? And this is not written down. This is nothing.
No.
This is thought of in the moment, folks. This is this moment. Think of her name. Think of her name. Think of her name. I think the first word was Miss or Mrs. It was Mrs. Yeah. Not that hard.
I'm not even sure which one it was now that you mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah. Mrs. First letter, second letter, third letter, fourth letter, fifth letter, sixth letter. Last letter I got because you know what you did? You hissed. Watch. Air hissing. Plural. The last letter's an S, isn't it?
Oh, no, it isn't.
It isn't?
No.
I might not be saying this right. Who knows? Who never? Mrs. Duckle?
Oh my God, you're so close.
Duckles?
You swapped the guy's name with the woman you're thinking of. But yeah, this is actually incredible because what the hell?
Is that his last name?
That's his last name.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Duckles?
Yeah.
Oh my,
yeah.
All right, done.
You're thinking of, so the guy's name, can I say who this is?
Hold on, something else. You were about to say it. You were about to say it and you were, it was like I thought it was her name.
Okay.
It sounded like a female, but it wasn't Jonah. Jonah, is the kid's name Jonah?
Jonah Duckles, yeah. Yeah. And the other person was Miss and it was a teacher's name.
I'm leaving while I'm ahead,
You
baby.
should
I'm
leave
leaving the casino. I've got the house money.
I already confused everything. I
You didn't
can
confuse
think of
anything.
different people.
This is what's good.
Crazy.
I like when it's spontaneous. When he changed his mind, this person, 3 people went through your head.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Oh my goodness. Are you seeing this? Yeah.
Our producer is just in the corner, kind of lightly angry, being like, Jordan, did you set this up to punk me? What in the world?
But like he knows that
we might have to get Paul before I leave. We might have to get Paul with something hard.
Oh my God. I better let you go. Because if you're going to have time to punk Paul or get Paul,
we should
blow Paul's mind, then we got to cut the show right here. But it's been worth it. It's been amazing.
It's been real. Jordan, can we just let everybody know the only way that we've gotten any of these powers is through the University of Michigan?
That's right.
Go Blue?
Go Blue, that's right. You have to live in South Quad or you can't do any of it.
Maybe some West Quad people too. Markley people, no, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's right. Thank you,
Inside joke. All right. Love it.
Yeah, we can't use that now. Can't use that on any of your shows. Thanks, host.